I put ancient workers to work, feeding them nothing but unlimited hamburgers and Coca-Cola. They could only rest after standing for 10 hours a day, and could only eat a spicy chicken meal on weekends. I thought the workers would rebel soon, but on the very first day, they couldn't take it anymore. "My lord, is this our last meal?" By the third day, the workers fell into a panic. "My lord, you aren't planning to feed us to death, are you?" By the seventh day, all the workers gathered before me. "My lord, who do you want us to kill? We will help you kill them. Our lives are yours." After a month, for some reason, the workers put a yellow robe with dragon patterns on me. "My lord, it's getting cold. Please put on more clothes." I held the dragon robe, staring at it for a long time. "Oh my, you guys, you have really put me in a tough spot. I am loyal to this country." I absolutely have no second thoughts. It turned out that a year ago, I transmigrated into an ancient frontier county magistrate and awakened the ultimate hamburger system. I thought that with the system's help, I would soon reach the pinnacle of my life. Unexpectedly, the system initially only provided me with infinite hamburgers and Coca-Cola. This place is called Shuifang County, the most remote county of Great Tian. The people are dirt poor, and to make matters worse, there is a drought outside. Outside the city, nearly 3,000 refugees have gathered, all starving to the point of desperation. The city walls are in ruins, shaking with a single gust of wind. According to the memories in my head, 3 days later, the bandits from Black Wind Camp on the nearby mountain will come down to plunder food. To put it bluntly, they will massacre the city. Starting like this, calling it hell difficulty, is being polite. I was stunned, staring at the hamburger box in my hand, when suddenly a flash of inspiration hit me. Hamburgers are high in calories, and Coca-Cola is high in sugar. Isn't this exactly what modern capitalists feed their employees? To quickly replenish their energy, and then continue exploiting them? What do I lack right now? Labor to repair the city walls. Exactly. I'll act like a ruthless overseer and use these snacks to squeeze every last drop of strength from these refugees to rebuild the city wall. Thinking of this, my fear of ancient times was instantly crushed by my capitalist instincts. With a cold laugh, I strode out of the dilapidated county office. Before the county office, a white-haired old man with a wrinkled face was leading a group of men who still had a bit of strength left. They were waiting anxiously. This was Wang Gansheng, the chief of the refugee village outside the city. Seeing me walk out, Wang Gansheng fell to his knees with a thud. In a hoarse voice, he cried, "My lord, please give everyone a path to survival. If there's nothing left to eat, they will starve to death." The people behind him also fell to their knees in unison. Their eyes were filled with despair. I cleared my throat, trying to appear a bit more authoritative. But in reality, I was panicking inside. "Stand up, all of you," I said. "I know of your difficulties. Right now, I will give you all a chance to live." Everyone looked up, staring intently at me. "Starting today, I will recruit laborers to repair the city wall. Everyone, regardless of gender or age, as long as you can still move, must work for me." The refugees fell into a commotion. Their faces showed clear signs of anger and despair. Work? They didn't even have the strength to stand up. How could they work? Wasn't this just asking for their lives? "My lord, we haven't eaten anything in 3 days. A weak man spoke, looking worried. "So, my rule here is, no wages." The crowd completely erupted. "No pay, and you still force us to work? Are you trying to kill us? Let's fight him!" The refugees clenched their fists. Their eyes began to turn red. My heart was pounding, but on the outside, I remained as steady as a stone dog. This was exactly the effect I wanted. First, drive them into a corner, then offer them a small favor. But I spoke in a firm tone. "Meals included." All the noise instantly vanished. "Meals included?" Wang Chansheng asked cautiously. "My lord, what kind of meals are they?" "Diluted millet porridge. Do we get 1 bowl a day?" In their eyes, being able to drink a bowl of rice porridge so thin you could see your reflection was already a godsend, I smirked, revealing a smile I thought was cool, and with a confident cold look. "Watery millet porridge. Keep dreaming!" I waved my hand and shouted towards the empty ground. "Bring out the food!" Under everyone's hungry gazes, a small hill piled high with countless paper-wrapped hamburgers suddenly appeared on the empty ground in front of the cliff. Next to it, another small hill piled high with black bottles appeared. Inside the bottle was a black liquid. Under the sunlight, tiny bubbles fizzed. A rich aroma of meat blended with the scent of bread. It immediately spread. All 3,000 exiles were completely mesmerized. In their entire lives, they had never smelled such a fragrance. What is this? It's wheat flour. I can smell it. It's bread made from wheat flour, and it seems to have meat inside. Everyone's eyes were glued to that mountain of hamburgers. Gulping sounds came from their throats. I was very pleased with this shocking effect. I held the hamburger in my hand and took a big bite. The meat juices immediately exploded in my mouth. "This is your food ration," I muttered. "Before starting work, everyone get a bottle of water. Those who do well will get more in the evening." The exiles were completely stunned. "Is this real?" Wang Gensheng stepped forward tremblingly. He took one from the pile of hamburgers. That warm feeling. The soft texture made him feel like he was dreaming. He had lived for over 60 years. Even pure white flour steamed buns he had rarely eaten in his life, let alone this kind. Heavenly food with a large piece of meat sandwiched inside. He carefully took a bite. The bread was soft. The meatballs were delicious. The sauce was sweet and sour. Countless flavors he had never experienced before exploded on his tongue. Wang Gensheng's entire body froze. 2 streams of cloudy tears from his old eyes streamed down his wrinkled cheeks. Suddenly, he fell with a thud and knelt before me again. He clutched the sandwich in his hand tightly, as if he were holding a priceless treasure. "My lord," Wang Gensheng sobbed. Is this the last meal for everyone?" He couldn't understand it. Other than this, what other reason could there be? To allow lowly refugees who are like wild grass to eat such good food in this world? It must be that this newly arrived county magistrate, seeing that they wouldn't survive anyway, wanted to feed them a full meal before they died so they would have the strength to go on their way. All the refugees behind him who had received the burgers. After taking their first bite, everyone fell silent. Then, the sound of crying echoed everywhere. I've never eaten anything so delicious in my entire life. "Mother, do you see? Your son finally got to eat meat, and it's such a big piece, too." "My lord, thank you, my lord. We will set off right away. Even on our way to the afterlife, we will set up a longevity tablet for you." I held the half-eaten burger, totally dazed. "The last meal. Don't talk nonsense. I'm just someone trying to exploit your labor. A heartless capitalist. Why on earth are you thanking me? What kind of script is this? No, I'm supposed to keep up my act." I looked down and saw a crowd of people kneeling, crying bitterly, feeling like my worldview was under unprecedented attack. I was clearly following the script of a cold-blooded capitalist, making them do harsh labor, without any pay, only giving them some high-calorie snacks to survive. Isn't this the standard behavior of a villain? How did it, when it reached their mouths, turn into end-of-life care? Get up! What is there to cry about? I felt a chill and could only speechlessly pick it up. Who said it was the last meal? Once you are done eating, get to work, all of you. Build the city walls. Before dark, if anyone dares to slack off even a little, they won't get dinner. I thought my tone was fierce enough. Capitalist enough. But when these words reached the ears of those refugees, the meaning changed again. "The master said tonight," another man asked blankly. "If you do well, you will get it every meal." I was annoyed and snapped back a loud boom. The crowd completely boiled over. Heavens, it's not the last meal! There is still food for dinner. Every meal has it. The master is a living bodhisattva. He is a savior angel descended to earth. Wang Gensheng's entire body trembled with gratitude. He suddenly stood up and shouted loudly to the crowd. Did everyone hear that clearly? The master doesn't want us to die, but they want us to survive. Eat everything, and once you're full, give it your all. Build the city walls for the Lord. If anyone dares to slack off even a little, I, Wang Gensheng, will be the first to break his legs. 3,000 refugees madly devoured the hamburgers. Then they carefully unscrewed the caps of the Coca-Cola bottles. When the first person drank the Coca-Cola, that sweet carbonated liquid rushed down his throat. At that moment, he was completely stunned. The ancients drank the glass-like black liquid. It felt as if a small hammer was tapping inside his stomach. His entire body was filled with energy. "She's a fairy! That must be a fairy!" Cheers erupted from the crowd one after another, along with gasps of astonishment. They felt an unprecedented strength surging through their bodies. The weakness from not eating for 3 days completely vanished. I looked at these people who seemed to have been injected with stimulants and felt even more terrified in my heart. Isn't it just hamburgers and Coca-Cola? Is it really to that extent? I don't know. In this era, even ordinary men rarely get to eat a full meal, let alone white flour and pure meat. And Coca-Cola, this kind of sugary, carbonated drink, for their withered bodies. The effect was indeed no less than a stimulant. After eating and drinking their fill, there was absolutely no need for me to urge them. Led by Wang Qiansheng, 3,000 people signed up, regardless of gender. Carrying their tools, they rushed towards the ruined city wall. They worked as if risking their lives. Some carried stones, others mixed mud, working passionately. A large boulder that originally required 10 people to carry, now 3 strong men who had eaten hamburgers, could easily lift and shoulder it with just a grunt. At a terrifying speed visible to the naked eye, the city wall was repaired and raised section by section. I stood at the gate of the county magistrate's office, looking at the scene in the distance. My mouth was wide open, enough to fit a whole egg. This efficiency is just too high. I originally thought that this crowd, who had been starving for days, would be good enough if they could just recover their strength after eating. But looking at them now, they don't look like refugees at all. Instead, they look more like a pack of frenzied builders. After 3 days, the section of the city wall of Shufang County, which had been destroyed by bandits for decades, was miraculously rebuilt. It was even higher and thicker than before. During these 3 days, my only job was to distribute meals on time every day. 3 meals a day, morning, noon, and night, served regularly without missing a single one. Hamburgers and Coke were provided in unlimited quantities. And the refugees, like machines that had been wound up, did nothing but work like crazy every day, other than eating and sleeping. They even organized rotating shifts on their own. 24 hours a day, there was always someone working at the construction site. I couldn't understand it at all. Something's not right. This is really off. I sat in the shade under the cliff, chewing on a hamburger, my brows furrowed. Normally, with such a high level of labor intensity, someone should have caused trouble or gone on strike by now. But these people not only didn't cause trouble, but on the contrary, the way they looked at him became increasingly strange. How should I describe that look? It wasn't gratitude, but rather pure fanaticism. It even carried a trace of awe and fear. What on earth are they thinking? I just can't understand it. I decided to drop by the workers' shelter tonight to hear what they were talking about. It was late at night, and no lights were lit in the shelter, but everyone was still awake. They huddled closely together in the darkness. The atmosphere was incredibly tense, with Wang Gansheng sitting right in the center. Lowering his voice, he spoke with a serious expression. "What do you all say? How have you been feeling these past 3 days?" A muscular man spoke up in response. "Chief, I feel like the strength in my body is endless. Before, carrying a 50-kilogram sack was so difficult for me. Now I can lift a 100 kilograms boulder with just one hand. Me too, and what's more, after eating the fresh food gifted by the Lord, all my old ailments have gotten much better." Another person chimed in. "The most important thing is that drink," an excited young man said. "Every day when I'm exhausted from work, I only need to take a sip, and my spirit immediately becomes 100 times more energized. This is definitely no ordinary thing." Wang Gansheng nodded, his expression becoming even more solemn. "This old man has lived for over 60 years and has seen a lot in this life. What we are eating is called a hamburger. It's a bun made of pure white flour, sandwiched with premium beef inside. That drink is called Coca-Cola. It's a beverage that can help people recover their physical strength instantly." He paused for a moment and looked around. "Have you ever thought about it? Meals of this caliber, not to mention refugees like us? Even the most elite Imperial Guards in the capital, I'm afraid they don't get to enjoy them either." Everyone fell silent. Even their breathing became heavier. Indeed, this was too unusual. Wang Kansen spoke each word slowly. The old man thought it over and over. There was only one possibility, and everyone's eyes turned to him. The Lord is raising private soldiers. What's more, he is using us as heaven-grade death warriors. The moment the words death warriors were spoken, the air in the room seemed to freeze. Death warriors? What are they? Those are people raised by the nobility. Tools specifically used to execute deadly missions. They receive the best treatment and enjoy the finest things, only to, at the critical moment, sacrifice their lives without the slightest hesitation. "Chief, do you mean the Lord gave us such good food just to send us to our deaths?" someone asked timidly. Nonsense, Wonkinson scolded softly. Is this going to our deaths? This is a heaven-sent opportunity. He stood up, his voice filled with an indescribable excitement. What are we? We were refugees, we were mud. But what about now? His lordship has granted us unprecedented dignity. He feeds us food that only immortals get to eat. Why didn't he tell us directly that day? Because it's a secret. Training heaven-grade death soldiers is something that could shock the imperial court. His lordship didn't say anything because he was afraid the word would get out, and he feared that we would be worried and terrified. We cannot judge his actions lightly. His lordship has given us a new life. We should give our lives back to his lordship. Wonkinsen's words were like a fire, kindling the humble hope in everyone's hearts, and the pent-up resentment that had nowhere to vent. That's right. The village chief is right. Our lives originally belonged to his lordship. From today on, I am his lordship's death soldier. Whoever dares to disrespect his lordship, I will be the first to tear him to pieces. Everyone was still extremely excited. Some even bit their fingers, wanting to write a blood letter on the wall. Just then, the torn curtain of the hut was pulled aside. I yawned and stepped inside. I just wanted to check if they had gone to sleep yet, and to remind them not to overwork themselves. In case they drop dead, my reputation as a black-hearted capitalist will be confirmed. What are you all doing, gathering here in the middle of the night instead of sleeping? Is your energy really that abundant? I asked casually. Take it easy when working tomorrow. Go to sleep early. Having said that, I yawned again. I turned and left. Just as I walked away, the entire workshop fell deathly silent for a long time. Only then did Wang Gensheng speak with a trembling voice, his voice filled with excitement and fear. Did you all see that? We saw the Lord patrolling even in the dead of night. He is testing us. Testing our loyalty. We were almost making a racket just now. If the Lord thinks we are not respectful enough, and not worthy of being highly regarded, the consequences would be unimaginable. So that's how it is. The Lord told us to go to sleep early, implying that we should conserve our strength to prepare for when we are needed. We are foolish. Please do not let down the Lord's painstaking efforts. Everyone suddenly came to their senses, looking in the direction I was leaving. The fanaticism in their eyes deepened even further. As if by agreement, they all lowered their bodies. Their movements were neat and consistent, quietly bowing their heads towards the door. This accomplished the first step in self-cultivation, deeply understanding every hint from the Lord. The city walls have been repaired. The huge weight in my heart finally dropped halfway, but the other half hung even higher. Black Wind Camp, based on what the previous county magistrate left behind, that pitiful memory. These mountain bandits are no ordinary bunch. More than 800 men. Each of them is a desperate outlaw who lives by the blade. The chief of the Black Tornado Camp is someone who can even tear apart tigers and leopards with his bare hands. A 3-day deadline. Today is the last day. All day, I've been unable to sit or stand still, pacing back and forth in the dilapidated county office, making the already uneven ground even more bumpy. What should I do? What should I do? I kept muttering under my breath. My palms were drenched in sweat. Escape? Now, the city walls have been repaired, but the city gates are closed. Even if I want to run, I can't get out. Moreover, the outside is a barren wilderness. I'm just a modern man. If I run out, even if I'm not eaten by wild wolves, I'll still be killed by other bandits who see me as an easy target. Surrender? Are you kidding me? With the reputation of those Black Wind Stronghold bandits, once they enter the city, they will surely burn it down, kill, loot, and commit all kinds of atrocities. As for me, the county magistrate, I will definitely be the first one hung from the city gates to dry in the sun. Stand my ground? What do I even have to stand my ground with? Under my command is just a crowd of commoners who've only had enough food for a few days. Although their strength has increased quite a bit, they don't even have a single decent blade. Meanwhile, the Black Wind Stronghold has elite warriors weighing 800 pounds, equipped with elite gear. System, are you there? I frantically called out in my head. Is there a newbie gift pack? At least give me some guns and ammo in this upgraded version. Even a command weapon would be fine. The system didn't react at all. At the critical moment, it plays dead. I was so angry I wanted to swear. Now, I am like a gamer who topped up real money into the game, only to find that the gifted items can't beat the basic setup of free-to-play players at all. I feel like dying. Time passed bit by bit. The sun slowly set in the west. The orange-red light shone upon the town, on the ruined city walls of the county. Not only was there no warmth, but instead it emanated a bloody aura, an ominous color. A mournful roar echoed from the city walls. The sentry in charge of observation tumbled and crawled down the ladder, falling. He rushed and hit the wall. His face pale, he cried, "My lord, they're here! The Black Wind people have arrived." A massive dark crowd of people. My heart tightened. What must come has finally come. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my trembling legs. I grabbed the rusty dentist knife next to me to give myself some courage. Step by step, I made my way up the city wall. With every step, I felt like my heart was about to jump out of my chest. I was just an ordinary programmer. Why do I have to go through this? I wanted to cry, but no tears would come. It was not until I struggled to climb up the city wall and look out that I instantly gasped in a breath of cold air, only to see clouds of dust billowing on the distant horizon. A massive black shadow was rapidly moving towards Zakfuang County. Glancing at them, there were at least 700 to 800 of them. Every single one of them was riding a horse, holding gleaming swords and spears in their hands, with a terrifying, fierce aura. The leader was a tall, dark-skinned giant, built like a bear, carrying a giant broadsword on his shoulder. Even from afar, one could feel the fierce, murderous intent radiating from him. It's over. This time it's really barbecue. The knife in my hand clattered to the ground. I felt like I could wet my pants at any moment. The people on the city wall also saw this scene. One by one, their faces turned pale with fear. Their bodies trembled. Although they had eaten well for a few days and gained some strength, in their bones they were still cowards who feared death. Faced with this situation, hardly anyone's legs didn't shake. Ha ha ha, where are the little brats in the city? Your grandpa Hatton Fong is here to plunder your food! Hatton Fong reined in his horse below the city wall. Brandishing his axe, he pointed at the people on the city wall. His voice boomed like thunder. Obediently open the gates, hand over your food and women, and your grandpa might still leave your bodies intact. Otherwise, when the city falls, not even the dogs will be left alive. Arrogant, too arrogant! I was trembling with rage. Half was out of fear, and half was from being genuinely infuriated. But what could I do? I didn't even dare to speak a harsh word. Right at this moment, Vuong Kansin arrived, leading a group of the strongest warriors. Although there was fear on their faces, their eyes showed a strange, strong determination. "My lord," Vuong Kansin solemnly said to me, "we can't open the city gates, it's pointless." Of course, I know we can't open them. I lowered my voice, terrified. My voice still carried a hint of crying. But if we don't open the gates, they will break through the city wall and swarm in. We'll die an even worse death. "My lord, we are not afraid of death," a warrior spoke in a powerful voice. In his hand, he was still holding a shovel that had just been sharpened, used for building walls. That's right, we are not afraid of death. My lord gave us enough food to eat and gave us dignity. Our lives belong to you, my lord. Let's fight them to the death. At worst, we die for a righteous cause. Starving to death is death, and dying in battle is also death. At least dying in battle means dying on a full stomach. The eyes of these warriors were all red. They glared at the bandits below the wall. Those eyes were like a wild cat protecting its food. I was completely stunned. I looked at this group of people and suddenly realized one thing. I feared the bandits because I wanted to live. But as for this group of refugees, they were not afraid of the bandits because they had just crawled out of hell. It was the hamburger and the Ouija board in my hands that allowed them to live like human beings. Now, someone wants to come and snatch away their rice bowl, wanting to push them back into being the kind of people who don't have enough to eat, like stray dogs left at the mercy of others to be slaughtered. That is even harder to bear than killing them. My lord Wang Jinsheng spoke up again. His voice was hoarse but firm. "Please give the order, my lord. We are willing to fight to the death for you. Fight to the death for my lord. Fight to the death for my lord." The combined roar of 3,000 people even drowned out the arrogant momentum of the 800 fierce bandits below the city wall. I looked at them. My heart surged with emotion. Fight to the death? What are you going to fight with? Shovels and hoes? But looking at their determined faces, I knew I had no way back. If I dare to say a single word no now, I fear that without waiting for the mountain bandits to charge in, this fanatical crowd might tear me to pieces first. I thought to myself, I've made up my mind. If I die, so be it. Transmigrated all the way here, only to be cornered like a coward. I'd rather drag 800 mountain bandits down to hell with me. It's better not to walk the road to the underworld alone. I picked up the knife from the ground. Using all my strength, I roared, "Open the gates!" What? Vuong Kensin and everyone else were stunned. Open the gates? Isn't this just asking for death? I said, "Open the gates!" My eyes had also turned red. I pointed at the black whirlwind below the city wall. My voice grew shrill with excitement. Don't they want to get in? Let them in! I want to see if the blades of those 800 bandits or the fists of our 3,000 men are harder. I'm risking my life. Either way, holding the city to the death is just passively waiting for death. If we charge out, maybe we'll have a 1 in 10,000 chance of survival. Vuong Kansin looked at my crazed expression. He smirked. Immediately after, a look of understanding and deep admiration appeared. So, that's how it is. My lord wants to put us in the jaws of death to find a way to live. I saw through this long ago. A ragtag bunch like us simply cannot hold the city walls. Instead of passively taking a beating and draining our spirits, we might as well take the initiative and attack. Use our strongest momentum to shatter the enemy. My lord indeed deploys troops like a god. We ordinary mortals really cannot compare. Obey the Lord's command. Open the city gates! Wang Gansheng raised his hand and shouted. Open the city gates! Kill! The heavy city gates creaked loudly, slowly opening. Huo Xuanfeng, below the wall, saw this. What is going on? Have they surrendered? No, wait. Look at their appearance. Why do they look like they want to eat us alive? Before he could process it, he saw over 3,000 refugees dressed only in rags, holding all kinds of weapons in their hands. Hoes, shovels, and wooden clubs. Some even carried large stones left over from repairing the city walls, pouring out from the gates like a tidal wave. Every single one of them had bloodshot eyes, their mouths emitting unintelligible growls, their faces filled with a madness that feared not death. For a hamburger, a warrior roared in anger. Swinging the hoe in his hand, he smashed it directly onto a bandit's head. For Coca-Cola, another warrior lifted a boulder weighing hundreds of pounds. Using all his strength, he hurled it toward where the crowd was thickest. Who dares to steal my rice bowl? I'll make sure he won't live to eat it. The Black Wind Bandits fled in utter shock. They had killed people, they had seen blood, but they had never seen a scene like this. These were no ordinary refugees. They were clearly a pack of demons crawling out of hell. Do they not want to live anymore? A bandit slashed his blade into a refugee's arm. Fresh blood gushed out. The refugee didn't even let out a groan. Instead, he bit hard into the bandit's neck, tearing off a chunk of flesh. Another bandit's long spear pierced through a warrior's belly. The warrior tightly gripped the bandit's body as he died, allowing his comrades to rush up from behind and crushed him into raw meat with stones. This is not a war. This is a massacre. 3,000 well-fed people possessing boundless strength, yet they do not fear death. Fighting with absolute frenzy against 800 men of leisure, the bandits were instantly terrified out of their wits. From the very beginning, the tide of battle was completely one-sided. Standing on the city wall, I looked down at the scene below. My legs kept trembling. I thought this would be a brutal, bloody battle, but I never expected it would be a one-sided crushing by those refugees. Those refugees, their way of fighting was too primitive. Extremely effective. They had no rules, no tactics. Their only belief was to kill the enemy in front of them. Thinking of their bravery and fearlessness of death, an hour later the battle ended. Outside the city gates, corpses and severed limbs of the bandits were everywhere. Blood flowed like a river. 800 men. Of them, only 100 or 200 knelt down in fear to surrender. The rest all turned into corpses. As for those 3,000 refugees, although they were all injured and covered in blood, but the number of those who fell was less than 100. The arrogant leader, once so overbearing, was pinned to the ground by more than 10 warriors. His limbs were crushed with stones. He was dragged to the foot of the city wall like a dead dog. 3,000 people, their entire bodies reeked of blood and a murderous aura, standing silently outside the city wall. Then, under the leadership of Wang Gensheng, they all turned around in unison, facing towards me on the city wall. With a loud rumble, 3,000 people knelt on one knee in unison. The crude weapons in their hands slammed into the ground, creating a synchronized sound that shook the hearts of all. Wang Gensheng raised his head. On his blood-stained face, there was an unprecedented level of fervor and devotion. He used all the strength in his body to let out an earth-shattering, furious roar. "My lord, whoever you want to kill, we will help you kill them! Our lives are yours!" The voices of the 3,000 men merged into a torrent, soaring straight up into the blue sky. I stood on the city wall. Assailed by this earth-shaking murderous aura and fanatical loyalty, I only felt my vision go black and collapse to the ground. Oh my god, this is bad! My lips trembled, and all color drained from my face. At the same time, on a large tree not far away, a man dressed in black nightwear was staring at the county magistrate as if looking at a demon, and the 3,000 death warriors who looked like descended demon gods. Trembling, he pulled a piece of paper from his robe. Using the fading light of the sunset, he quickly wrote down a message. Sakfuang Magistrate Lam Uyan has secretly recruited 3,000 demon god death warriors, easily wiping out 800 bandits of the Black Wind stronghold. This man has sky-high ambitions and is deeply scheming. I fear he has disloyal intentions. This is extremely urgent. Once finished, he stuffed the paper into a small bamboo tube, tied it to the leg of a carrier pigeon, and threw it into the sky with all his might. The pigeon flapped its wings and flew rapidly toward the capital. Meanwhile, I was carried back to the county magistrate's office by Vuong Kensin and others. At that moment, I was truly paralyzed with fear. My hands and feet were freezing cold, and my mind was blank, letting those blood-covered warriors carry me back to Taizhou in a flurry. By the time I finally came to my senses, I was already sitting on the collapsing Grandmaster chair of the county office. On the ground, a dense crowd of people knelt prostrate. The leader was still Wang Kansheng. He had already bandaged his wounds, but the blood and dirt on his face and body had not yet been wiped off. Along with his fanatical gaze, he looked even more like a villain than the bandits of the Hafeng stronghold. The Hafeng stronghold had 623 people killed and 177 captured alive. The stronghold chief, Hao Quanfeng, has had his limbs crippled by us, waiting for your lordship's disposal. Wang Chansheng spoke in a resounding voice, full of pride and eager to claim credit. Listening to him report his achievements, my lips began to tremble again. Over 600 killed, over 100 captured alive. My very first day was already a massacre. I looked at the crowd below. Just a few days ago, they were still starving to the point of dying. Refugees so hungry they couldn't even stand steadily have now become a crowd capable of slaughtering fierce bandits like chopping vegetables. This change is just too sudden, so fast that my heart can barely take it. Is the power of hamburger and Coca-Cola really that terrifying? Everyone, stand up. With great effort, I managed to squeeze out a few words from between my teeth. I wanted to look a bit dignified, but my voice was shaking uncontrollably. What about casualties? What are our losses? My lord, Wang Qian puffed out his chest with pride. Because we had 92 brothers fall in action, 150 were severely wounded. The rest only sustained minor injuries. It won't affect our assault tomorrow. I fell silent, 92 dead. Although, compared to our victory, this number is unbelievably small, but those were still 92 vibrant lives. My heart felt a bit choked up. These people died to protect my so-called injustice. The fallen brothers must be buried with full honors. I sighed. My voice lowered. Their families... Never mind, they don't have any families anyway. Find a good place for them to rest in peace. Condolence money? I wanted to leave them some condolence money, but I checked my pockets, only to find they were cleaner than my face. The entire treasury of Shufang County is empty and dependent. What could I possibly give? Wang Gansheng seemed to read my mind, so he said, "My lord, you don't need to worry. Being able to die for you is their honor. We have long since put life and death aside. Moreover," he changed his tone, a hint of excitement showing on his face. "My lord, we've struck it rich. From the bandits of Black Wind stronghold, we managed to loot a lot of valuables, along with their horses and weapons. It's enough for us to organize a grand funeral for the fallen brothers. Is there really such a good thing?" My eyes lit up, and the grief from earlier immediately eased a lot. That's right, raiding the wealthy. How could I have forgotten about this? Black Wind Stronghold has occupied Mount Shofang for years, plundering countless passing merchants. They must have accumulated a great deal of wealth. Hurry up and organize all the confiscated loot. Bring it here for me to see. My spirits immediately lifted, feeling like I was alive again. Soon, chest after chest of gold, silver, and jewels, along with piles of illusionary weapons, were carried into the yamen courtyard. I looked at the glittering gold ingots and the pure white silver ingots. My eyes widened. I'm rich! This time, I've really struck it rich. This dirt-poor county of mine finally has its first chest of gold. I secretly calculated that with this money, I could buy food, renovate the yamen, and get these death warriors some decent weapons. I could even have some new clothes made for myself. Just as I was immersed in the joy of striking it rich, Vuong Kansin spoke up again. My lord, right now, our 3,000 brothers are all willing to die for you. However, we are currently leaderless and cannot form a sword. If another powerful enemy comes to invade us, I'm afraid we won't be able to fight at our full strength. This old man takes the liberty to ask my lord to bestow a name upon us and establish our official organization to facilitate our training. Bestowing names and organization? I burst out laughing. What on earth is all this? And regularization too? I looked at the passionate gaze of the crowd below. My heart was pounding wildly. I'm just a salted fish trying to live day by day. The county has absolutely no intention of raising any army. If this matter reaches the ears of the imperial court, wouldn't that be a clear case of rebellion? There's no rush for this, no rush. I waved my hands. Let's put this matter aside for now. Everyone is tired today. First, let's go rest and eat. Tonight, you can eat as many hamburgers as you want, and drink as much Coca-Cola as you want. I tried to use food, my only weapon, to change the subject. However, Wang Gensheng shook his head solemnly. My lord, if the name is not correct, the words will not carry weight. We have already honored my lord as our master, so naturally we must have a glorious title. This is also to display your authority, my lord. That's right. Please bestow a name, my lord. Please bestow a name, my lord. The crowd below chimed in again. My head hurts so much. Bestow a name? What name should I give them? Maybe the Hamburger Cult, or the No Detention Trial Squad. Saying it out loud would be too embarrassing. My mind spun rapidly. I wanted to find an excuse to decline. Ahem ahem, I cleared my throat, pretending to look profound and mysterious. This official has his own plans for this. A title is nothing but a vain name. True strength originates from within. It stems from your loyalty to me. What you need to do now is not to pursue these vain titles, but to fight together in today's battle. Improve your own strength, understand? I felt my words were very sophisticated, full of dialectical philosophy. It would surely make these uneducated peasants admire me. Sure enough, as soon as I finished speaking, the crowd below fell silent instantly. Vuong Kansin and the leading men looked at each other. Then a look of sudden realization appeared on his face. Vuong Kansin was so moved and excited that his entire body trembled. He treated me like this once again. His voice was filled with deep awe. What a brilliant insight, my lord. We were so foolish, I was completely dazed. A brilliant insight. It turned out to be a brilliant plan after all. I was only speaking off the cuff. Vuong Kansin then continued, speaking in an I understand everything tone to explain it to the people around him. Did you all hear that? Millard said that a good reputation is just an empty title. True strength comes from within. He is guiding and pointing us in the right direction. We became complacent just after winning a single battle. Rushing impatiently for success is the ultimate taboo for military strategists. Millard is worried that we'd be hot-tempered, impulsive, and go astray. Another man chimed in. That's right. Millard also said we must consolidate our gains and improve our strength. This means he wants us not to show off, but to continue quietly building our power. This is what they call a hidden dragon in the abyss. My lord is playing a grand game of chess, so that's how it is. The lord wants us to keep a low profile and bide our time. His lordship's intention is, now is not the time to reveal this army of divine soldiers. I understand. What we need to do now is recruit the prisoners, distribute the weapons, then conduct even more rigorous training. When the time is ripe, with just one word from the Lord, we will be able to ascend to the heavens in a single bound. The Lord is truly far-sighted with deep schemes. We are truly no match for him. Hearing them discuss, I was completely dumbfounded. Keeping a low profile to build up strength? Playing a grand game of chess? What on earth are you talking about? I simply don't want to cause any trouble. Why do you understand my intentions better than I do? I feel like I'm completely on a different wavelength from these guys. I'm just thinking about how to manage and how to survive day by day. Yet these people automatically imagine a whole scenario of world domination and even cast me as the main character. My lord, we understand. Vuong Kansin raised his head. Their eyes were filled with absolute determination. We will absolutely not let down your painstaking efforts, my lord. From this day on, we will call ourselves the Vanguard Camp. Normally, we are civilians. During war, we are nameless soldiers. We only wish to charge onto the battlefield for you. Vanguard Camp. That name sounds pretty cool. I opened my mouth to tell them not to do this. But seeing Wang Gansheng's expression, which said, "You don't need to say anything else. I understand everything. Just rest assured and leave it to me," I could only hold my tongue. Oh well, let's just let them be. I felt like I had completely lost control of the situation. This war machine named Frontline Shock has had its doors welded shut by this hot-blooded crowd and is hurtling wildly down a road that I cannot predict at all. And as for me, the driver, the only thing I can do right now seems to be to buckle up tightly and pray we don't roll over. Alright, do whatever you think is best. I weakly waved my hand and ordered the spoils of war to be stored away. The injured should rest well. The rest of you go eat. Understood. Everyone replied in unison. Then they withdrew in an orderly manner. Only I was left in the vast yamen, and a courtyard full of gold, silver, and treasures. I looked at those riches, but I wasn't happy at all. I plopped down in my chair and sighed. I only wanted to be a cruel prison guard, exploiting labor and just getting by until I die. Why did it turn into a pace that requires real magic? I think this world is truly too crazy. On the second day after the Black Wind Camp was destroyed, I slept until the sun was high before waking up. This is the first time since I transmigrated that I slept so soundly. Mainly because I was mentally exhausted. The ups and downs I experienced yesterday were more dramatic than all of my past lives combined. First, I was scared to death. Then, I was overjoyed. Finally, I was completely baffled and helpless. Rubbing my sleepy eyes, I walked out of the room and saw Wang Gensheng busy leading people in the courtyard. The courtyard has been cleaned up. The smell of blood in the barley field from yesterday has also faded a lot. The exquisite weapons we captured have been sorted and neatly piled up. Some people are specifically assigned to guard duty. Even the broken door of the main gate was repaired overnight. Everything was in order. My lord, you're awake. Seeing me, Wang Gensheng immediately stopped his work. He quickly walked over and bowed respectfully. I yawned and casually asked, "What is everyone doing? Aren't we done with the city wall? Wasn't the wall already finished?" Wang Gensheng replied with a serious expression. "Although the city wall is finished, it's not high or thick enough. We've discussed it, and we want to upgrade it to capital city standards. To raise the Shufang city wall by another 3 zhang and make it 1 zhang thicker. We also need to dig a moat outside and set up traps and obstacles." I was completely dumbfounded. What capital standards? Have you all gone mad? I casually remarked, Sakfeng County is such a tiny place. Why build such showy defensive fortifications? Do you have so much money that you don't know what to do with it? It's not that we have gone mad, my lord, but it's a far-sighted plan. You have great ambitions for the realm. Sakfeng County is our foundation. Without a solid foundation, how can we achieve great things? Right now, our strength hasn't been fully revealed. This is the perfect opportunity to fortify our walls and recruit disciples. Here they go again. Here they go again. Hearing talk of great ambitions for the realm and achieving great things just gives me a headache. Rubbing my forehead, I said, "Vung Kanin Sin, Village Chief Vung, listen to me. Please speak, my lord." This old man is all ears. Vung Kanin Sin immediately cupped his ear, pretending to listen. His eyes were filled with a thirst for knowledge. As for me, I have no grand ambitions. I decided to be direct with them, to explain it to them clearly. I just want everyone to have food to eat and a place to live. Living a peaceful life. All that killing is just too dangerous. If we can avoid it in the future, we should. Now that we have money, let's first renovate the county seat. Repairing roads and building houses. Wouldn't it be great to let everyone live more comfortably? I felt my words were very sincere and filled with benevolence. Surely, it would move them. However, hearing this, Vuong Kansen trembled. His eyes looking at me were instantly filled with emotion and shame. My lord, his voice was slightly choked up. We understand now. What on earth did you understand now? My heart sank and I had a bad premonition. My lord is truly benevolent. Your heart is always with the people, while we only thought about fighting and killing, gaining merits, and building a legacy. We were truly too short-sighted, Vuong Kinsin said, looking ashamed. My lord is lecturing us again that the true kingly way lies in pacifying the people, in enriching the people. Weapons are tools of evil. Sages only use them as a last resort. We only saw the ruthlessness of using military force, while overlooking the reluctant heart behind it. My lord, it is our fault. My jaw dropped and I couldn't close my mouth. Did I ever say that? I simply do not want to fight. I just want to live in peace and enjoy life. How did it turn into the kingly way and moral conduct? What is wrong with these people's brains anyway? Is it because after eating hamburgers, not only did their muscles mutate, but their brains mutated as well? My lord, please rest assured. Wang Qinsheng suddenly clasped his hands. His eyes became extremely determined. We understand your intention. First stabilize the internal, then deal with the external. We will immediately organize manpower. On one hand, we will reinforce the city defenses. On the other hand, we will renovate the county town. We will absolutely not fail your expectations, my lord. We want to transform Sifang County into an impregnable fortress, and at the same time a prosperous, secluded paradise, becoming the strongest support for your lordship's path to hegemony. Having said that, he didn't wait for my response, and immediately turned around to assign tasks. Quick and efficient. Bursting with enthusiasm, I stared at his retreating back, standing frozen, unable to say a single word. Communication failed. A complete failure. I felt like a manager trying to explain to a group of fanatical fans that their idol is just an ordinary person. But the result was that the fans thought their idol was just being too humble. He is indeed a god. Forget it. I'm tired. To hell with it. I give up all struggle. I realized that trying to reason with these people was impossible. Their capacity for wild assumptions has gone beyond the limits. Whatever I say will be distorted by them into a completely different meaning. Let them do whatever they want. Anyway, they do the work and I just hand out burgers. That's fine. Just don't drag me into a rebellion. Repairing the city walls and building houses is also pretty good. Thinking of this, my spirits lifted again. Since we want to build infrastructure, we must have a proper plan. After all, I'm a modern person. Although I didn't study civil engineering, I still have some basic knowledge. Furthermore, as a former 996 employee, I understand the importance of coordinating labor. No, that's not right. Rather, it's understanding how to squeeze the surplus value out of employees more efficiently. A wonderfully dark plan is taking shape in my head. This afternoon, I summoned Wang Qinsheng and a few newly promoted minor heads to the county magistrate's office. Starting today, this official will issue a few new regulations. You all must strictly enforce them. I sat on the Grand Master's chair, trying to make myself look like a leader whose word is law. Wang Qinsheng and the others immediately stood at attention, their expressions highly focused, awaiting my instructions. Regarding working hours, I raised a finger. From now on, daily working hours will be 10 double hours, starting from the Mao hour to the U hour. In the middle, during the Ingo hour, there will be 1 double hour for eating and resting. I silently calculated 1 double hour is 2 hours, so 10 double hours is 20 hours. That's not right. The way they calculated double hours in ancient times doesn't seem to be like that. I recall a day has 12 double hours. The Mao hour is from 5 to 7 in the morning. The U hour is from 5 to 7 in the evening. Calculating it like that, the working time is about 12 hours. A standard 996 blessing? Maybe even a bit more. For these ancient people, it must be highly intensive. However, after hearing this, Wang Gensheng and the others looked confused. My lord, do you mean we only have to work 10 double hours a day? Wang Gensheng asked cautiously. Yes, is there a problem? I asked back, but Wang Gensheng looked completely bewildered. Previously, we all worked in shifts. 24 double hours a day. The construction site never stops. Now it's only 12 double hours a day. So what will we do with the remaining time? Won't that delay the progress? I almost spat out a mouthful of blood. It's not like I criticized you guys for doing too little. I was afraid you guys would drop dead. You guys are truly workaholics. Even I, a capitalist, can't stand it anymore. Haha. I tried to explain. This is an order. Health is the precious capital of the revolution. Without good health, how can you contribute to this official? To contribute to Shefang County, you must balance work and rest. Only then can it last long. This is this official's way of nurturing troops. I really couldn't make up any more excuses, so I had to bring up the troop nurturing method again. Sure enough, as soon as they heard about the troop nurturing method, Wang Gensheng and the others immediately showed a "so that's how it is" look. Wise lord, we only knew how to train hard blindly, without knowing the importance of resting, recovering, and uniting chi and blood. Is my lord teaching us the way of cultivation? No, I'm not. I didn't. I didn't want to dwell on this matter any further. Moving on, the second point is also the most important one. I emphasized my tone. Everyone held their breath. From now on, work 5 days and take 2 days off. I dropped a bombshell. I thought that this time, they must have understood my benevolence by now. A 5-day work week with weekends off. In ancient times, this was indeed a benefit they wouldn't even dare to dream of. However, reality once again dealt me a heavy blow. The scene fell dead silent. Wang Kansin and the chiefs all stared at me as if looking at a fool. After a long while, did Wang Kansin tremblingly open his mouth. "My lord, you said that for every 5 days. There are 2 days where we are not allowed to work?" I nodded proudly. "Then what will we eat?" One of the chiefs blurted out. I was stunned. "Of course you'll still get food on rest days. Hamburgers and Coke will still be provided normally." Boom! These words were like igniting a powder keg. Wang Kansin fell to his knees with a thud, with tears streaming down his face. "My lord, absolutely not. Why not?" I was dumbfounded. "My lord," Wang Kansin cried out through his tears, "we are but lowly wretches who were taken in by my lord, having work and enough food to eat. That is already a blessing from heaven. Yet we haven't earned any merit, nor do we have anything to show for it. How dare we accept your grace so soon, taking 2 days off while still eating for free? This will surely bring divine punishment." "Indeed, my lord, please retract your command. We don't need rest. We can still work." On the ground, a crowd knelt down, each and every one weeping bitterly. It was as if my giving them time off was an unforgivable and cruel punishment. I completely broke down, holding my face, letting out a sigh of despair. I just wanted to let you all rest and implement a bit of humane management. Why can't you all understand? I feel like I'm not managing a group of people, but rather a pile of skeletons. Half of them are robots, and worst of all, I can't even fix this bug. In the end, I still couldn't win against these stubborn people. The proposal for a 2-day weekend was unanimously opposed by everyone. The opposition was fierce, as if someone was trying to rob them of their benefits. In the end, both sides compromised, reaching a consensus that I found extremely absurd. For every 10 days of work, they take 1 day off, and on top of that, during their day off, their food rations are cut in half. This was what Wang Qingxin and the others had cried and begged for. They believed that, without working, they couldn't eat a full ration of fresh food. This was the principle. The problem was that they saw this as the bottom line for the dead. What else could I say? I could only agree. I felt like I was the one being exploited. So exhausting, but anyway, the rule was established. Working 24 hours a day? Taking 1 day off every 10 days? Although it was far from my original intention, at least there was now a system, so they wouldn't work themselves to death like before. In the days that followed, the construction of Huyanjiak Fuang entered a completely new and more frantic phase. Thanks to the correct explanation of Wang Qingxin and the others, my internal guards and Li Titkung Vungkun Sin steward were revered like King Tri Nam. They scheduled the 12 working shichen clearly every day, with 4 shichen of high-intensity physical labor in the morning. Transporting large beams and digging foundations, they called it body tempering. For 1 shichen at noon, they would eat and meditate, believing that hamburgers and Coca-Cola contain rich energy, so they had to meditate to refine it in order to absorb the maximum essence from it, to strengthen their heart and blood. And so, every noon, a bizarre scene would appear at the Zak Feng County construction site. Over 3,000 strong men, each with a hamburger and a bottle of Coca-Cola, would cross their legs and sit down right after eating, closing their eyes to concentrate, everyone looking solemn, with their mouths occasionally letting out thunderous burps. The first time I saw this scene, I almost spat out the Coca-Cola in my mouth. These guys actually consume hamburgers like they are magic elixirs. In the afternoon, they returned to high-intensity physical labor. And in the evening, after working overtime, they weren't idle either. Under Wang Gensheng's organization, all the young able-bodied men, including those who were once captured as prisoners but voluntarily surrendered, had to spend 2 hours practicing their combat skills. Their so-called combat skills were simply wielding the weapons they had captured, or simply hacking away, ready to clash with each other. They didn't have any special moves or techniques, simply using all their strength as if working to slash and smash. In a short while, on the open ground outside the camp, every evening clanking sounds rang out, along with earth-shattering roars. Anyone who didn't know would think a real fight was happening. I had become numb to all of this. I was too lazy to manage them, and I couldn't anyway. My daily task was just to keep track of meal times, piles of hamburgers and cokes, and watch them devour everything ravenously. After that, watching them go to work and cultivate, I felt less like a pack leader and more like a zookeeper. Time flew by, and 10 days quickly passed, bringing us to the first day off. Early in the morning, I was awakened by earth-shattering roars, and sleepily walked out to the yard. I noticed that instead of resting, they actually got up even earlier than usual, gathering in the open field, performing exercises that I didn't understand at all. Some were lifting heavy weights, some were sparring, and some were lining up to punch a row of old wooden posts, making dull thumping sounds. My face darkened. Wang Qinsheng, isn't today supposed to be a day off? What on earth are you all doing? Sweating profusely, Wang Qinsheng ran over. My lord, we are resting. You call this resting? Was he trying to show initiative? My lord, you have misunderstood. You taught us to know when to relax, and when to push ourselves. We thought about it a lot, and finally figured it out. Working is physical training, which is active. So a day off is naturally for training qi, which is stillness. Wang Qinsheng's words made perfect sense, but we soon discovered that when carrying out these low-intensity sparring sessions and physical contacts, the qi inside their bodies, meaning the energy from the fresh food you bestowed, will circulate faster. This shows that the combination of movement and stillness is the supreme method of cultivation. I beg you, please stop gaining enlightenment. If I let you keep gaining enlightenment like this, are you going to ascend right then and there? I have completely given up on discussing science with this bunch of people. Now, I only want to know one thing. Do you guys still want to eat today? Yes, of course we do. But according to the agreement, today's food ration is reduced by half. Half a hamburger and half a bottle of cocoa per person is enough. I let out a sigh, and with a thought in my mind, prepared to retrieve the food from the system. Right at this moment, the mechanical voice that hadn't appeared in my head for a long time suddenly rang out. Ding! Detected that the base's population has stabilized at over 3,000. Territory construction has reached a scale, slightly increasing the prosperity level. System upgrade conditions have been met. Unlocked a new dish. Weekend special Sichuan pepper chicken. Item description: Sichuan pepper chicken, virgin oil, high-calorie oil, and special spices. After eating, it can temporarily, significantly boost the user's physical capabilities. Enter an excited state. Relieve pain, increase strength and speed by 30%. This is a weekend special. Can be claimed once every 7 days. I was stunned. The system had upgraded, and there is even a new dish, Sichuan pepper chicken. I looked at the description, my eyes lighting up. Increased strength and speed, reduced pain. Isn't this a berserk potion? Although it has a 7-day cooldown, this is definitely a trump card for critical moments. An overwhelming joy welled up inside me, and all my previous grievances vanished. I looked at the people training below. A bold idea suddenly crossed my mind. I cleared my throat, attracting everyone's attention, seeing Guni and the others asking, cultivating diligently, making rapid progress. This official is extremely pleased. I mimicked their way of speaking, pretending to say, this official has decided to bestow upon you today a fresh dish as an encouragement. A fresh dish? Everyone stopped what they were doing, simultaneously looking towards me, their eyes filled with curiosity and anticipation. They had long felt that although hamburgers and Coke were very magical, but they were certainly not all of my lord's tricks. Now, is he finally about to bring out something of a higher grade? That's right. Bring it here. Imitating my demeanor from the first time, I waved my hand. The next second, on the empty clearing by the cliff, a large pile of packages wrapped in oil paper suddenly appeared. They were still steaming hot. An incredibly rich aroma immediately filled the entire yamen and wafted in all directions. It was a complex aroma, mixing spicy numbness with a rich, savory goodness. Just smelling it was enough to make people couldn't help but salivate uncontrollably, gulping. 3,000 people simultaneously let out gulping sounds in their throats. If the aroma of a hamburger is rich, leaving one satisfied, then the aroma of this Sichuan pepper chicken is mesmerizing, driving people crazy. What on earth is this divine thing? Just by smelling the scent, I already feel the blood surging through my body. It smells so good, I'm about to lose control of myself. Wang Gensheng stepped forward, trembling, picking up a package wrapped in oiled paper. That burning hot temperature, along with the intense aroma rushing into his nose, made him feel like his soul was trembling. He carefully opened the oiled paper package, only to see a whole fish inside, drenched in sauce with a temptingly bright red color. On top, it was sprinkled with green peppercorns and dried red chilies. He tore off a chicken leg. Not minding the heat, he stuffed it straight into his mouth. Ha! The moment the chicken entered his mouth, an unprecedented experience exploded in his mouth. The meat was tender and fresh, and the sauce was rich. Next came a numbing sensation like an electric shock jolting the tip of his tongue, and a spiciness like fire burning his throat. These two extremely powerful flavors not only did not clash, but also blended together perfectly, stimulating every single one of his taste buds, causing all the pores on his body to expand. Wang Gensheng froze completely. He felt like he wasn't eating, but rather swallowing fire. A surge of heat rose from his stomach. It instantly spread through his limbs, into his aging and somewhat withered body. As if infused with lava, it was filled with explosive power. Wang Gensheng couldn't help but look up to the sky and let out a long howl. The sound echoed in all directions, his wrinkled, aging face now flushed red. His eyes flashed with a brilliant golden light as his entire body looked 20 years younger. Everyone was stunned. What is wrong with the village chief? He tried it. He seems to have turned into a different person. Hurry up, I want to eat it too. The crowd immediately began to stir, jostling and shoving each other to rush forward, fighting for the spicy numbing chicken on the ground. When the first person, the second person, the third person, when everyone took their first bite of the spicy numbing chicken, the entire Zhangfuang County was engulfed in growls and long howls like uncontrollable wild beasts. More than 3,000 people, each with a flushed face, their entire bodies steaming with heat, their eyes burning with a wild fighting spirit. They felt the power within their bodies, surging so much that it was about to explode, needing to be released immediately. I looked at them as if they had been injected with a super stimulant. Terrified by their madness, I kept backing away. I knew this stuff worked, but I didn't expect it to be this effective. This is no longer spicy numbing chicken. It's clearly a potion of madness. I only wanted you guys to try a new dish. I said tremblingly, you guys, calm down a bit. However, my voice was completely drowned out by the earth-shattering roar. The first day off in Zhangfuang County passed in a scene of chickens flying and dogs barking, with ghosts wailing and wolves howling. Over 3,000 people who ate the spicy numbing chicken had gone completely mad. With no way to release the energy building up inside their bodies, they could only burn it off in the most primitive way. And so, the open ground outside the county's cliffside. It became their arena with bare hands. They fought each other with wooden sticks. Every punch and kick whistled with the wind. Their strength was so immense that they didn't seem to feel any pain. Even when their faces were beaten black and blue, they just grinned and retaliated with even greater ferocity. The wooden stake array previously used for training in less than an hour was completely smashed to pieces by them. Each wooden pole, as thick as a bowl, was snapped like sugar cane. I hid inside the county's cliffside, watching the scene outside through a crack in the door, my heart pounding wildly. These aren't even humans. They are clearly just a bunch of human-shaped target dummies. Now, I'm starting to regret this. Had I known the side effects of this spicy turkey were so severe, I would never have brought it out. If they go overboard one day, lose control of themselves, and destroy my magistrate office, what then? Trembling, I called out to the system in my mind. System, is there an antidote for this? Or is there a guide to handle the side effects? The system remained cold, without any response. I could only pray that this situation would quickly pass. Fortunately, this frenzied state didn't last too long. By afternoon, the excitement brought by the Sichuan pepper chicken gradually faded, replaced by extreme fatigue. The group of muscular men who had been in a frenzy all morning were now sprawled on the ground one by one, sleeping like logs, their snores like thunder. Only then did I dare to step out of the county office, looking at the people sprawled across the ground and the ruined training yard. I breathed a sigh of relief. Finally, it's quiet. Vuong Kansin was the first to wake up. He shook his still heavy head, feeling his body's condition. Immediately, a look of surprise and immense joy appeared on his face. He realized that after a morning of intense training, he felt his body seemed to have grown a bit stronger. His meridians, which were clogged due to old age, seemed to have been washed clean a bit. by that overbearing energy, becoming extremely clear. He could even feel that he could clearly see each stream of heat flowing slowly through his body. A divine item! This is absolutely a higher grade divine item than even hamburgers and Coca-Cola. Vuong Kensinge trembled with emotion. He immediately understood my good intentions. Hamburgers and Coca-Cola are used to build the body's foundation, accumulating blood ki, and this Sichuan pepper chicken is the key to breaking through. It uses extremely overbearing medicinal power to forcibly break through the cultivator's bottleneck, converting accumulated blood ki into a purer strength. As for the violence and desire to fight that arise after consuming it, that is the trial one must undergo when breaking through the realm. It is an inner demon only by fighting, venting all the excess violent energy, and holding on to one's true self can one truly make this power their own. My lord! My lord! He even passed down this secret cultivation technique to us. Wang Qinsheng looked towards the county magistrate's office. The admiration and awe in his eyes had reached an unprecedented peak. He felt that I was no longer just a man of great foresight. I was basically an immortal descended to Earth to save all living beings. Wake up, everyone! Don't sleep anymore! Wang Qinsheng turned toward the ground, shouting at the crowd lying scattered. Everyone gradually woke up. One by one, they discovered the astonishing changes in their bodies. On the first day, I feel like I can punch a bull to death. Me too, I feel like all my old wounds have completely healed. This numbing spicy chicken is truly miraculous. After Wang Qinsheng finished explaining for a while, the way everyone looked at me changed. If before it was fanaticism, then now it is reverence. They looked at me as if they were looking at a miraculous deity walking on earth. Their stares gave me goosebumps. I could only cough dryly twice, and declared that this numbing spicy chicken would be the specialty of the rest days from now on. The next time we'll have to wait another 10 days. Actually, the system's rule is once every 7 days, but I'm scared now. Decided to extend the cycle a bit to prevent these people from going crazy every other day. I gave the order, and everyone answered in unison, without a single objection. In their eyes, such a miraculous item, being enjoyed only once every 10 days, was actually quite normal. At the same time, in Yunzhong County, which was 100 miles away from Shuofang County, County Magistrate Zhang Chengji was frowning at the secret report in his hand. Is what you say true? The new magistrate of Shufang County, leading 3,000 refugees, has completely wiped out the Black Wind camp. He asked the merchant who had fled from Shofang, standing in the courtroom hall. It is absolutely true, my lord. The merchant replied with a gloomy face. I witnessed it with my own eyes. The scene was truly terrifying. The people of Shufang County seemed to go mad. Each one of them possessed infinite strength, and they didn't even groan when cut by swords. The 800 men of the Black Wind camp were completely wiped out in less than an hour. Zhang Chengji took a cold breath. He raised his head, knowing full well what kind of strength the Black Wind camp possessed. Even he, a regular official of Yunzhong County, did not dare to easily provoke him. What on earth is the background of this county magistrate to possess such capability? Furthermore, my lord, the county magistrate's region is dirt poor. The merchant added, he fed those refugees all white bread stuffed with large cuts of meat, and their drink was a kind of black soft drink. After the Black Wind stronghold was wiped out, all the gold, silver, treasures, horses, and weapons were all pocketed by him. White bread, meat pies, black soda. Zhang Chengji knitted his brows tightly. Such treatment was indeed unheard of. His mind immediately began to spin. That remote county is so poor that even birds don't poop there. This is something everyone knows, that Lin Yuan could not possibly have funds out of nowhere. The only explanation is, there is some major force behind him supporting him. Now he has also annexed the assets of Black Wind Stronghold. Wouldn't that make him even richer? The more Zhang Chengji thought, the greedier he became. Although Wenzhong County is wealthier than Shefang County, but life is not easy either. The imperial court levies heavy taxes, and he himself has to support a large family and hundreds of soldiers. Money is always tight. If only he could extort a sum from that person. A wicked plot formed in his mind. He doesn't dare to directly send troops to attack. After all, the lesson from Blackwind Stronghold is still fresh. But he can send someone to stir up trouble. Guards! Zhang Chengju slammed the table. 2 bailiffs stepped forward. Immediately summoned my nephew, Li San, who is currently the county lieutenant, to see me. Soon, a young man with a cunning look and a roguish air walked in. He was Zhang Chengji's brother-in-law. Li San had become the county lieutenant through connections. Uncle, Are you looking for me? Li San asked with a smirk. I will give you a chance to make a fortune. Do you dare? Zhang Chengji lowered his voice. I dare, don't underestimate me. As soon as Lai Tam heard the words striking it rich, his eyes instantly lit up. Chuang Tan Tri then recounted the story of Sokfuang District, retelling it while adding some extra spice to it. That guy named Nguyen is just a lucky kid. Relying on a few fearless men under his command, he no longer knows his place. Take 50 experts with you, and pay him a visit. Just tell him that the Hak Fong camp used to pay tribute to our Van Trung mansion every year. Now that he has wiped out Hak Fong camp, this tribute should be borne by him, to show his submission. If he knows what's good for him, tell him to hand over 3,000 taels of silver. If he doesn't, teach him a lesson. Remember, don't make a big deal out of it. Just scare him a little bit. He is just a minor magistrate with no backing, and won't dare to do anything. Yes, young master, please rest assured. Lai Tam puffed out his chest, promising right away. To him, this was a windfall falling from the sky. 50 elite guards, going to scare a minor magistrate in a remote, impoverished area. Isn't it as easy as turning one's hand? And so, 10 days later, when the people of Sokfuang District were full of anticipation, preparing for their second Sichuan chicken feast, Lai Tam led 50 soldiers riding tall horses, wearing the leather armor of the gendarmes, brazenly arriving at the city gate of Sokfuang District. At this time, on the empty ground in front of the city gate, heaps of Sichuan chicken wrapped in oil paper were already laid out. The rich aroma drifted far away. More than 3,000 people were lining up, eagerly waiting for me to order the feast to begin. Lai Tam smelled that aroma, and couldn't help but swallow his saliva, cursing silently in his heart. What kind of godforsaken place is this to have this to eat? What the hell is this? But it actually smells pretty good. He spurred his horse forward. Using his whip, he pointed at a man who was maintaining order in distributing food at the city gate and shouted arrogantly, "Who is in charge here? Tell your district magistrate to get out here and meet me!" As soon as he finished speaking, the atmosphere at the scene immediately changed. All eyes turned away from the pepper chicken machine and focused on him. Over 3,000 cold stares filled with undisguised killing intent. A large man standing at the head of the line slowly turned his head around. He had just received a steaming hot pepper chicken from the hands of Wong Kan Sin and was preparing to enjoy it. He looked at Lai Tam, then looked back at the pepper chicken in his hand. His eyebrows furrowed. What did that person just say? He asked in a probing tone. I said, tell your county magistrate to come out here. Lai Tam still didn't realize the danger. Still arrogant and overbearing, ruining my chance to strike it rich. Can you guys bear the consequences? The big guy remained silent. He carefully handed the pepper chicken in his hand to his companion behind him. Softly muttered a sentence. Hold this for me. Don't let it get cold. Then he suddenly looked up. His bloodshot eyes stared intently at Lai Tam. The next second, his whole body was like an enraged bull. He roared and charged forward. Which bastard dares to touch my pepper chicken? Lai Tam was stunned by the sight before him. He only saw a man as burly as a bear, growling sounds he couldn't understand, charging empty-handed towards him. That speed was so fast it didn't seem human. The horse beneath him seemed to also sense that terrifying murderous intent. It let out a panicked neigh, rearing up on its hind legs, directly throwing Lai Tam to the ground. Lai Tam fell, his head spinning. Before he could scramble up, he raised his head, only to face a pair of bloodshot eyes, filled with violence and murderous intent. What do you want? Lai Tam was scared out of his wits, wetting his pants. A foul stench immediately spread. I am the county lieutenant of Yunjiang County. My uncle is Lord Zhang Chengji. That brute paid absolutely no attention to his words. He just reached out a hand as big as a cattail fan, grabbing Lai Tam by the throat like catching a chick, lifting him up from the ground. Lai Tam's feet left the ground. He struggled desperately. His face turned purple like a pig's liver due to the lack of oxygen. The 50 men behind him were also shocked by this sudden turn of events. They were elite forces, but what kind of monster were they facing? More than 3,000 people stopped at this moment. One by one, they turned their heads, staring at them with cold, dead eyes. That gaze was even colder than the winter wind. The 50 gendarmes felt like sheep surrounded by more than 3,000 hungry wolves. They didn't even have the courage to draw their sabers, their hands trembling. Just at this moment, a hoarse, aged voice but full of vigor, rang out. Wang Gansheng, leaning on his cane, slowly stepped out from the crowd. First, he glanced at Li San, who was hanging in midair, nearly suffocating. Then, he swept his eyes over the gendarmes, who were as silent as winter cicadas. A fierce glint flashed in the burly man's eyes as he looked at Wang Gansheng, but his grip did not loosen in the slightest. "This dog interfered with us enjoying the master's fresh food," he asked in a highly aggrieved voice. An undeniable reason that no one could refute. "I understand." Wang Gansheng nodded. Then, turning to the gendarmes, he asked coldly, "Who are you? What is your business in Arshufang County?" One of the gendarmes, who seemed to be the leader, dismounted from his horse in a trembling manner, clasped his hands in respect to Wang Gansheng. His voice was also trembling. "Elder, we are the gendarmerie of Yunzhong County. We came by the order of our county magistrate to pay respects to Lord Lin Yuan." "Pay respects?" Wang Gansheng sneered. "Is there such a way of paying respects? Spouting arrogant words the moment you arrive? Frightening the people of our county. And you even expect our county magistrate to come out and meet you?" His voice wasn't loud, but every word was like a hammer striking the hearts of those gendarmes. "We wouldn't dare, sir. He was drunk and talking nonsense. Please forgive him, elder. Please, brave warriors, show mercy. Please spare his life." That gendarme is about to cry. Had he known Sakfuang County was a tiger's den like this, he wouldn't have dared to come even if he were beaten to death. Wang Gansheng didn't reply immediately. He turned his head to look towards the county yamen. I had already been startled by the noise outside. Hiding behind the door, I poked half my head out to peek stealthily. When I saw that muscular man lift a living person up with one hand, I was so scared that my eyes almost popped out. Is this the strength after eating spicy chicken? This is just too terrifying. I saw Wang Gansheng looking at me. That look was clearly asking for my opinion. My heart skipped a beat. Asking for my opinion. How would I know what to do? Kill them. But doing so would mean falling out completely with Yunzhong County. Yunzhong County is much harder to deal with than Hapfong Fortress. After all, it is an official county seat of the imperial court, and there are also government soldiers. But letting them go just like that would be too frustrating. Furthermore, it would make Sakfuang's county look like an easy target. In the future, won't everyone want to walk all over us? My mind quickly raced to find a solution. Got it! I turned to Wang Gansheng, making a gesture that he found very clear. First, I pointed my finger, pointing at the gendarmes and their horses. Then, I made a gesture of taking it back. Next, I pointed at Li Tan, who was being choked, and waved my hand vigorously, making a shooing gesture. My intention was very clear. Keep their money and horses as compensation for mental distress, and then send them away as far as possible. This was the wisdom I learned from my past life. Dealing with thugs is about paying for peace, but you also have to let them know you're not to be trifled with. Wang Gansheng looked at my gestures. At first, he was stunned. Right after that, his entire body shuddered. His eyes immediately filled with immense admiration and awe. He had misunderstood me again, thinking, what a brilliant tactic this is. What a magnanimous heart. To him, when I pointed at those gendarmes and horses, I meant to recruit the cavalry and capture their horses to weaken the enemy's strength and consolidate our strength. Then I pointed at the ringleader, Li San, waving my hand, signaling to let him go. Why let him go? This is not out of benevolence, this is a scheme. My lord wants to cast a long line to catch a big fish. In Wang Gansheng's mind, he immediately filled in the next sequence of events. This Li San is the maternal grandson of the Yunzhong County magistrate. Once he returns, he will definitely embellish the story to make an accusation. That Zhang Chengji is greedy and foolish. He will surely be driven mad with rage, deploying the entire military strength of the county to attack us. And my lord is precisely waiting for him to arrive. Shufang County is located in a remote area, easy to defend but hard to attack. We will wait at our leisure for the exhausted enemy, relying on the solid city defenses and the ultimate strategic position of the county stronghold. We will definitely be able to wipe out the main force of Yunzhong County in one fell swoop. By then, Yanzhong County will be like a headless snake. With the county seat empty, we can take the opportunity to capture it in one go. This is indeed an unpredictably divine strategy. Subduing the enemy without fighting is only the elementary level of the art of war. While my lord deliberately feigns weakness, luring the enemy to deploy their full forces, then taking the opportunity to wipe them out. thereby, at the lowest cost, achieving the greatest victory. This is what a true master of military strategy looks like. My lord is not merely plotting for a single county of Sok Fuang, not even just the county of Van Trung. He is playing a massive game of chess. The layout of the entire world, I fear, is all within his calculations. Thinking of this, Vuong Kansinj was so moved that his hands began to tremble. To be able to follow such a powerful master, how fortunate indeed. He took a deep breath, suppressing the excitement in his heart. Turning around, he faced the warrior who was still holding Lai Tam and said, "Let him go." Although the warrior was reluctant, he still obeyed and released his grip. Lai Tam lay on the ground like a limp puddle of mud, gasping heavily for breath. A large wet patch stained the crotch of his trousers. "Your horses and all the valuables on you must all be left behind." Vuong Kansinch pointed at those 50 soldiers and said in a tone that brooked no argument, "Then get lost with him. Tell your county magistrate, Trong Thon Trai, that Sok Fuang is not a place where he can run wild." This time, Lord Lam was merciful and spared your miserable dog lives. If there is a next time, I will definitely leave not a single blade of grass standing in Yunzhong County. These words of Wang Qinsheng were of his own accord. However, they were based on his master's intentions. He felt that only this could provoke Zhang Chengji to the absolute limit, forcing him to quickly lead his men here to meet their doom. Those 50 gendarmes did not dare to resist. One by one, they surrendered their swords and weapons. They even stripped off the slightly better armor they were wearing, piling it all up on the ground. Then, they sent men to support Li San, who was completely dumbfounded with fear, as they scrambled and crawled back toward Yunzhong County. Watching their pathetic figures fleeing in panic, the people of Shufang County erupted into thunderous cheers. "Mighty Lord, mighty Vanguard Battalion!" I stood behind the door, watching this scene, nodding in satisfaction. Not bad, not bad. Old Wang is still reliable in his work. He perfectly executed my plans, both securing benefits and establishing our authority, without pushing things to the point of no return. Perfect. I returned to the county office in satisfaction, ready to examine how much loot we had acquired this time. I had absolutely no idea that Wang Qinsheng had already invited the entire military force of Yunzhong County to Shufang County as guests on my behalf. Meanwhile, the soldiers who had run around in confusion earlier were still cheering. By now, they also clearly understood Vuong Kensin's intentions. Every single one of them was rubbing their hands eagerly. There was no fear of the upcoming battle in their eyes. On the contrary, they were filled with anticipation and excitement. Awesome, there's another war! Fighting Hapfong Camp last time wasn't satisfying enough. This time, fighting the government troops will win for sure. Can we eat something even more delicious than spicy numbing chicken? Absolutely. If we follow the Lord, there will be meat at every meal. With wars happening every day, even the gods wouldn't trade this kind of life. The entire Sok Fuang County was filled with a strangely warlike atmosphere. Only I was still immersed in the dream of peaceful development and quietly making a fortune. The defeat of Van Trung County was just a minor incident to me. We captured 50 horses, a pile of weapons, and some loose silver and miscellaneous items, and got a bunch of pests in return. This matter was considered over. I didn't take Vuong Kansin's threat of leaving not a single blade of grass standing to heart at all, and only treated it as an empty threat. In my opinion, as long as that magistrate of Van Trung is in his right mind, after witnessing the simple and honest folk customs of Sok Fuang County, he would surely choose to maintain peace. So I continued to live my peaceful life as a rancher, watching the bustling construction site every day, making some recipes, hamburgers, and cola. Every 10 days, I'd distribute potatoes once, then return to the county office and just lounge around, figuring out how to turn the gathered essences into more practical items. However, what I didn't know was that my subordinates had already begun a wild process of self-evolution, and I had absolutely no idea. Wang Qinsheng, the old village chief who had been completely brainwashed by my kingly aura, had now become the chief instructor and political commissar of the county training camp. He had divided those 3,000 people into more specific groups. First up was the personnel structure. The first 3,000 people who registered were the absolute core of the county training camp. They possessed the highest loyalty and the best physical condition. They were called the original followers. As for the more than 100 Black Wind Fortress bandits captured afterwards, after undergoing ideological reform, which was actually just being starved for 3 days. They were fed hamburgers, cocoa, and cola. Now, one by one, they wept and pledged their lives to Lord Lin. They were organized as secondary followers. And recently, news that everyone in Shufang County could eat their fill at every meal and even had plenty of meat to eat spread like wildfire. Many struggling refugees from the surrounding areas brought their entire families to seek refuge. For these newcomers, Wang Qinsheng established a strict vetting process. New arrivals couldn't join the county training camp right away, nor could they eat hamburgers immediately. They could only drink thin porridge at first and do basic chores, such as cleaning up trash and digging irrigation canals. This phase was known as the observation period. Only those who performed well during the observation period and showed enough devotion to Lord Lin's glorious deeds could be approved into the reserve forces. Reserve forces could eat hamburgers, but they didn't get Coca-Cola. They also had to perform higher intensity work and attend Wang Qinsheng's ideological classes every day, which basically meant listening to Wang Qinsheng brag about how divinely brilliant I was and how incredibly benevolent I was. Only after passing all the tests of the reserve forces could they finally take an oath of loyalty, becoming official members of the county camp, and enjoying the standard treatment of burgers and cola. After completing this process, those who were able to stay were bound to be extremely grateful to me and become fanatically loyal followers. But I had absolutely no idea about any of this. I only noticed recently that the county's population seemed to be growing and the number of burgers distributed daily was also rising. So I asked Wang Qinsheng about it. Wang Qinsheng simply said that my reputation had spread far and wide and everyone had come to pledge their allegiance. He claimed it was a sign of the king's way. I was completely bewildered listening to this, but when I looked at the system panel, the population was indeed skyrocketing. Since this was related to unlocking new menus later on, it was a good thing, so I didn't question it further, and tacitly accepted Vuong Kansin's recruitment. Along with personnel management, Vuong Kansin also implemented a major reform in military training. He discovered that only training strength and slashing at each other was highly inefficient. So, based on the core theory of attack-boosting burgers, healing orbs, and melee tankers, he developed a brand new, exclusive cultivation method. For the Vanguard camp, he divided the Vanguard camp into 3 parts. The first part is the heavy iron-armored Vanguard squad, consisting of the 1,000 tallest and strongest members of the county camp. Their daily training consists of wearing the crude armor obtained from Black Wind Camp, which has been repaired and reinforced, holding the heaviest weapons, mainly modified long-handled sledgehammers and axes, and practicing slashing and charging. Their food ration standard is the highest, receiving 1 more burger than the others every day. Vuong Kansin considers them the pillars of the current camp, who must be nourished with the most abundant energy and blood. The second part is the Marksman Squad, consisting of 500 soldiers with sharp eyes and steady hands. Their weapons are the remaining bows and arrows from Black Wind Camp. Unfortunately, the quantity of bows and arrows is insufficient, and their quality is also poor. Vuong Kansin pulled them into the mountains and forced them to practice throwing stones. The requirement is to accurately hit moving rabbits within 50 paces. Only when their stone throwing is as accurate as using bows and arrows will they meet the requirement. To train their eyesight, Wang Qinsheng requested a special ration, an extra half bottle of Coca-Cola every day. He believed that drinking this soft drink would refresh their minds and would definitely benefit their eyesight. Hearing this absurd theory, I originally intended to refuse, but seeing Wang Qinsheng's fanatical expression, claiming it was all for his lordship, I agreed as if possessed by ghosts and demons. The third group, which was also the most uniform in size, was the Vanguard Assault Team. The remaining people, including the new official members who had just joined from Zhihei, were all in this team. Their task was to serve as the main force at the construction site. They followed behind the heavy knife-grinding squad, responsible for reinforcing, cleaning up the battlefield, and acting as cannon fodder to overwhelm the enemy with human wave tactics. Of course, Wang Qinsheng wouldn't use the word cannon fodder. He called them the bedrock, the most solid foundation of the formation. Their training was the most complex, practicing everything from combat, charging, to using all kinds of strange tools to kill. Just like that, without my knowledge, a well-organized army with a clear division of labor and its own bizarre set of cultivation theories had quietly formed in the region. Every day, they trained frantically, constructed frantically, and frantically tried to comprehend every hint of mine. For example, I found that defecating randomly in the county town was too unhygienic and could easily cause a plague. So I told Wang Qinsheng to organize workers and dig many public latrines in the town. This action, in Wang Qinsheng's eyes, was yet another layer of deep foresight. Look, my lord told us to dig so many deep and large holes. What is this? This is called a troop hiding cave. Once the enemy attacks the town, we can use these tunnels to ambush them. This is the greatness of my lord. He has even planned a strategy for us after the town falls. Truly brilliant, which is why the soldiers throughout the county were even more eager to dig latrines than build city walls. For instance, I discovered that several of the confiscated horses had died because no one knew how to raise them. Heartbroken, I found a few capable people in the village, put them in charge of raising the horses, and gave them separate, high-quality meals every day. In the eyes of Wang Kansin, this was an even more unusual signal. Cavalry, my lord. This is for building a cavalry unit for our town. Cavalry is so precious. Only the elite of the elite can take on this role. My lord has already begun preparing for the future, pursuing kings, driving north, and contending for hegemony in the Central Plains. Therefore, the few people selected to raise horses immediately became the most envied ones in the town. They treated horses as more important than their own lives, sleeping with them every day, talking to them, and trying to achieve the realm of unity between man and horse. Looking at all of this, I only felt that this world was becoming increasingly surreal. I felt like a hands-off shopkeeper who didn't need to do anything. These subordinates automatically and spontaneously completed their KPIs several times over. This automated management model made even me, a black-hearted capitalist, feel a bit terrified. They wouldn't actually tie me to the dragon throne one day, would they? I shuddered and quickly stuffed a large premium meat burger into my mouth. Oh well, don't think about it anymore. If the sky falls, taller people will hold it up, as long as there is enough meat burgers to eat. They probably won't do anything to me, right? Lately, I've been so free that I'm starting to panic. The county militia training and the county seat construction, under Wang Kansin's automated brain supplementing management method, are progressing steadily, even exceeding my expectations. Every day, besides handing out food at the right time and place, I basically have nothing to do. This kind of life of eating and sleeping, sleeping and eating, and occasionally inspecting the work, although it was what I had always dreamed of in my past life, when I actually lived like this, I felt like something was missing. No, I must find something to do. I sat on the threshold of the county office, looking at the meat burger, looking out at the dusty construction site, mumbling to myself, after all, I am a county magistrate. I can't really be a completely hands-off shopkeeper. I started thinking about what else I, as a modern person, could do for this outdated ancient county town. Very quickly, I found a new focus for my work: sanitation. With more and more refugees pouring in, the population density within the county territory increased rapidly. With so many people, environmental sanitation became a big problem. Even though under my wise guidance earlier, Wang Kansin had led people to dig many public toilets, solving the problem of public defecation. But other aspects were still very messy, with household waste dumped everywhere. Wastewater was overflowing, and the entire county town smelled sour and rotten. Every time I went out, I had to cover my nose. This just wouldn't do. I knew that with how dirty and messy it was, an epidemic would break out sooner or later. By then, let alone vying for supremacy over the world, I'm afraid all my people will die. I didn't want my sacred sandwich base to turn into a giant biochemical wasteland. And so, this dark capitalist county magistrate suddenly transformed, becoming the director of the Patriotic Sanitation Campaign Committee. I summoned Wang Qinsheng and a few minor leaders to the county office. Today, we are going to discuss a very serious matter, an extremely important issue. With my serious expression and heavy tone, Wang Qinsheng and the others immediately straightened their backs, looking solemn. In their hearts, they were all guessing what earth-shattering deployment strategy my lord wanted to discuss this time. Was he planning to attack Yunzhong County, or to send troops north to fight the Manchus? This matter concerns the survival of every single one of us and the future of our Shefang County. I continued to build up the atmosphere. Everyone's hearts tightened, only to see me slam the table, shouting with all my might, "We must immediately, right now, conduct a massive cleanup across the entire territory." Huh? Wang Qincheng and the other leaders were all dumbfounded. A general cleanup? They looked at each other, their faces filled with confusion and bewilderment. So it turned out that the life and death matter my lord spoke of was just sweeping and cleaning? My lord, are you saying we should go clean up? Wang Qincheng cautiously confirmed, feeling like there might be something wrong with his ears. Exactly, cleaning up, I said decisively. Starting today, I will issue the sanitation regulations for Shefang County. I took out a promotional poster that I had stayed up all night drawing. On it, a simple cross was drawn, and a stick figure littering, indicating that littering of all household waste is strictly prohibited. It must be dumped collectively into the designated trash pits. Second, dumping wastewater randomly is strictly prohibited. Every household must dig a drainage ditch in front of their door to direct wastewater to the river outside the city. Third, establish an environmental inspection team to patrol the city every day. Anyone caught violating the hygiene regulations, for the first offense, they will be sentenced to sweep the streets for 1 day. For the second offense, they will have to clean the latrines for 3 days. For the third offense, their food rations will be cut in half for a month. After I finished announcing the regulations, I felt like I was bursting with coolness. With this combo of measures launched, how could I not cure the poor hygiene habits of these ancient people? But my passionate speech was met only with complete silence. Wang Gansheng and the others all looked at me as if the Lord had taken the wrong medicine. After a long while, one of the new leaders couldn't help but speak up. My lord, what does this general cleanup have to do with our survival? Indeed, their lives were cheap, growing up rolling in the mud. Why would they care if there was trash on the ground? Instead of that time, they might as well practice their combat skills or carry a few more stones to build the city walls. Wouldn't that be more practical? I knew they wouldn't understand, so I sighed. I decided to explain it in a way they could understand. I immediately stood up straight and said, "Do you really think this official ordered you to do a general cleanup just for the sake of cleanliness?" Everyone instantly perked up. It is time to decode the Lord's deep intentions once again. You only see the trash on the ground, but you don't see Sackle hiding behind the trash pile. My gaze turned deep and solemn, my voice lowered, filled with mystery. Sackle, Wang Gansheng, and the others shuddered inside. That's right, I continued to spin my tale. Think about it. How important is our Shufang County right now? It is the foundation of this official. Our enemies, for example, Yunzhong County, or the Northern Barbarians, are they spies or assassins sneaking into our city? Definitely, everyone replied in unison. So what are spies and assassins best at? It is disguising and hiding. Well said, I slapped my thigh. Then, think about it. If our county is filled with trash dumps everywhere, and stinking sewers are everywhere, doesn't that provide those spies with a perfect hiding spot? If he lies inside a trash pile, who could possibly find him? He crawled into the foul-smelling sewer. Who could possibly find him? Wang Gensheng and the others were shocked to their core. Suddenly they realized. On the contrary, if we clean the county town spotlessly clean, without a single speck of dust, any stranger or any suspicious trace, won't they stand out immediately and no longer be able to hide? This is what you call being cunning. They can't escape. This is called trapping the enemy in the city. A leader who had read a few books shouted excitedly, "Sir, you are truly brilliant." So that's how it is. A clean environment is in itself the tightest line of defense. We only saw the dirt on the outside, but we failed to see what you saw, sir, which is the deadly threat hidden beneath the filth. You did this without spending a single soldier or effort, yet immediately making this place as solid as a fortress. Your wisdom is indeed miraculous. Seeing them once again falling into a state of collective self-flattery, I silently praised myself in my heart. It pays to study math, physics, and chemistry. Travel the world without fear. Mastering logic. Tricking the ancients is beyond question. Furthermore, I decided to add a little more fire. A clean environment not only defends against external enemies, but also strengthens ourselves. Think about it. The food we eat is all fresh. If we live in that pile all day and inhale turbid air, will it affect our actual refinement efficiency? Will it make our chi no longer pure? These words, along with the spy theory in the city just now, had an even greater impact on them. That's right, they are cultivators. relying on the master's immortal stones to cultivate. For cultivators, the environment is the most important thing. The heroes in comic books, don't they all cultivate in places with immortal mountains and blessed lands with abundant spiritual energy? Although they don't have immortal mountains and blessed lands now, at least they can't live in a trash pile. That will affect their chi. My lord, we were wrong. Wang Chansheng fell to his knees with a thud, his face filled with shame and fear. We only cared about our cultivation progress and completely neglected the basics of the cultivation environment. Because of my own laziness, I almost disappointed your painstaking efforts, my lord. I deserve to die. Please rest assured, my lord. From today onwards, we will treat these sanitation regulations as an official decree to obey. Anyone who dares to disobey, no need for you to speak, we will personally throw him into the cesspool. That's right! We'll clean Shufang County until it's cleaner than a girl's face. Looking at the crowd boiling with enthusiasm, I smiled with satisfaction. With this, I believe that from today onwards, Shufang County will become, in the entire Great Qian Dynasty, and even in all of ancient history, the first place to model waste sorting and sewage treatment. As this county magistrate, I can also be considered to have made an outstanding contribution to the cause of public sanitation in ancient times. With my hands clasped behind my back, I strolled away leisurely. Satisfied, I stepped out of the county magistrate's office. I was about to inspect the construction sites of my urban sanitation project. I had absolutely no idea that, after I turned my back, Wang Qinsheng and several leaders gathered again to start a new round of learning and understanding. What do you guys think? Did the Lord organize this citywide cleanup for a much deeper purpose? Without a doubt, every decision of his lordship must have at least 3 layers of deep meaning. Think about it. If we clean up the city, then that spy won't be able to sneak in. So, what will they do? They'll be forced to watch from outside the city. But the area outside the city is just wilderness, with nowhere to hide. This way, won't every move of the enemy be completely under our control? Exactly. The Lord wants to shift the battlefield from inside the city to outside, firmly keeping the initiative in his own hands. Not only that, think about how we eat immortal food every day. With a strong body, one rarely falls ill. But what about the enemy? They eat ordinary mortal food. Living in a dirty environment, while we keep the city clean, the area outside the city gets dirtier and dirtier. Under these contrasting conditions, our people are becoming healthier and healthier, while the spies sent by the enemy, before they can even take action, will already fall ill on their own. This is what is called subduing the enemy without fighting, and I'm afraid no one can match it. My lord even calculated the health status of the enemy. This chess game he set up is just too grand. A group of people looked at my slightly thin back with such awe in their eyes that it was beyond description. A light carriage, looking ordinary at first glance, drawn by body-tempering horses, was running on the pass road leading to the front line. Since the pass road hadn't been repaired for years, it was full of potholes, causing the carriage to jolt violently. Inside the carriage, a woman dressed in light purple. With her face covered by a thin veil, she closed her eyes to rest her mind. Although she was sitting, her posture was as straight as a pine tree. Even inside this bumpy carriage, she remained as steady as a rock. She was the current Empress of Great Qian, the only younger sister of Li Fuangyi. She was Princess Lai Tan Chu. But her identity at this time was the second young mistress of a wealthy Jiangnam merchant who loved to travel and sightsee. Sitting beside her was a middle-aged man with a sturdy build and a calm expression, looking like the leader of the guards. But in fact, he was the commander of the Wulin Guard accompanying her on this trip. Chen Qingji, Your Highness, Princess. 30 miles ahead is Shufang County, Chen Qingju said softly. Li Tanshu slowly opened her eyes. Her eyes behind the veil were as cold as the moon, yet as sharp as a blade. How is the situation? Her voice was clear and melodious, yet carried an innate air of majesty. Reporting to Your Highness, the closer we get to Shufang, the stranger the situation becomes. Chen Qingji frowned deeply. We met several groups of refugees on the road, but they weren't fleeing south, but were instead leading their entire families north, towards Shufang County. Li Qingzhao looked intrigued. Why did they go to Shufang? I have sent someone to investigate. They said that, rumor has it that the new magistrate of Shufang County is a living bodhisattva descended to Earth, who not only takes in refugees, but also feeds them to their fill with white flour steamed buns and meat at every meal. As Chen Qingji said this, he also felt it was a bit absurd. white flour steamed buns and meat, eating to their fill at every meal. In a year of famine, let alone a remote county, even the noble families in the capital would not dare to be so extravagant. A living bodhisattva, white flour, and meat. Li Qingzhao curled her lips into a cold smile. It seems this Lin Yuan is very good at winning over people's hearts. Your Highness, everything about this matter seems strange. A poor county. How could they feed the growing number of refugees? Where did Han Lai's 3,000 demon gods come from? I worry that, behind this Lin Yuan, there is an unknown force backing him, and he might even be a spy for the Manchus in the north. Using this method to recruit soldiers for them, planning to coordinate from inside and out, Chen Qingji expressed his concerns. This was also the view of the majority of the court. Li Qingzhao said nothing. She parted the curtains to look out the window. The further north they went, the more desolate the landscape became. The cracked, parched fields, the villages were truly empty. The occasional villagers they saw were all gaunt, pale, and lifeless. This was the current state of Daishian. In a hell like this, a paradise suddenly appeared where people could eat their fill. No wonder those refugees flock there like moths to a flame, regardless of whether he is man or demon. In the meantime, we'll know once we see it with our own eyes. Li Qingzhao lowered the carriage curtain. Her voice returning to calm, she gave the order. After entering the city, no one must compromise their identity. Follow my orders in all matters. Chen Qingji, lead a few men to disguise as ordinary guards. The rest will camp 10 miles outside the city. Without my command, do not approach the county town. Obeying the order, the carriage continued forward. Soon, the outline of a fortress emerged, appearing on the horizon. That was Suifang County. As they drew closer, Li Qingzhao and Chen Qingji became increasingly astonished. What did they see? They saw that outside the ruined county town, thousands of laborers dressed in rags, but in high spirits, were enthusiastically carrying out construction. Some were raising and thickening each wall. The height and thickness of each wall were nearly up to the standards of some prefectures. Others were digging a moat outside the city. Looking at that width and depth, it is clearly the initial form of a moat. Further away, there are people leveling the ground, building roads, thousands of people working on the construction site at the same time, yet there is no chaos at all. On the contrary, it is highly organized and orderly, and filled with an astonishing vitality. This doesn't look like a small frontier region at all that has just gone through drought and looting. Clearly, this is a rising military stronghold. Tran Kanchi stared in a daze. How much money and rations would this require to maintain such a massive project? As for these people, they do not look like starving refugees at all. Li Thanqi's gaze also turned extremely serious as she observed the physical condition of those laborers. Though dressed in rags, every single one of them is well built. With firm muscles and healthy, ruddy complexions, they carry boulders weighing hundreds of caddies, yet still walk swiftly as if it were nothing. With such physiques, even the imperial guards in the capital could hardly compare. And the words "divine soldiers" once again flashed through her mind. It seemed what the secret letter said was not only not an exaggeration, but was actually somewhat understated. As soon as they approached Thon Gate, an even stranger sight occurred. Following a long shout, thousands of people on the construction site immediately put down their tools. Then, with near-military efficiency, they quickly lined up in the open area in front of Thon Gate. Immediately after, cookie carts were pushed out from the citadel one by one, loaded with things wrapped in paper, and bottles containing a black liquid. A rich smell of meat blended with the aroma of bread instantly wafted through the air. Neither Li Thanqi nor Tran Kanchi could help but inhale deeply. They seemed to see those laborers, each receiving a paper package, a bottle of black water, and then sitting down right there, beginning to eat ravenously. Li Thanqi's eyes were fixed on a warrior not far from him. He saw that warrior finish a paper package in just a few bites, then run to get a second one, a third. He ate 5 of those white flour meat sandwiches in a row and drained 2 bottles of black water. Before letting out a satisfied burp, Tran Kanchi's mouth dropped open so wide that an egg could fit inside, 5 large meat buns, 2 coconuts. He stammered, "Your Highness, even the most gluttonous soldier in the army couldn't eat this much in a single meal. Furthermore, they are providing it without limit. He completely couldn't comprehend what he was seeing. This was no longer a matter of money and food, but it completely defied common sense. Li Thonshu also felt overwhelmed. She had read many books since childhood, but had never heard of any kind of food that could make a normal person have such a terrifying appetite and stomach. These ingredients and the food in his hands, what on earth is their origin? Let's enter the city. Suppressing the shock in her heart, she said to Tran Kan Chi. The carriage slowly advanced toward the city gate. With sharp gazes, they wore simple leather armor, but the death-defying aura radiating from their bones still made Tran Kan Chi, this commander of the Imperial Guards, feel a bit of pressure. Who are you? Where do you come from? And where are you going? A soldier asked with an expressionless face. Sir, we are a caravan of merchants from the south, hoping to enter the city to rest and buy some goods. The driver, a veteran of the Imperial Guard, replied. He quickly put on a smile and handed over a small piece of silver, but the soldier didn't even look at it. He only said coldly, "You can enter the city, but you must follow the rules of our Shufang County." With that, he pointed to a notice posted on the wall nearby. It was the Shufang County sanitation regulations issued by the Lord. Littering is punished by street sweeping, spitting is punished by cleaning toilets. Once inside the city, all activities must be reported to the area manager. Otherwise, you will face the consequences. The soldier muttered word by word. Chen Qingji listened in confusion. Litter, toilets, area managers, they were all bizarre rules. He was about to lose his temper, but Li Qingzhao stopped him with a warning glance. We have noted it, Li Qingzhao said calmly. Only then did the soldier wave them into the city. The carriage drove into the city, and the two people inside were once again astonished by the scene before their eyes. If the outskirts of the town are a bustling scene, then inside the city, the residential areas are unbelievably clean. The streets are swept spotlessly clean, with not a single fallen leaf to be seen. Neat drainage ditches are dug along both sides of the streets, and at regular intervals, there is a trash collection point enclosed by wooden boards. They even saw a few thatched huts labeled as public restrooms. A few people wearing uniforms, which were actually just made of slightly better cloth, with the words "Inspector" written on their backs, were patrolling the streets. Whenever they saw someone about to litter, they would immediately rush over to give them a strict warning. The entire county town, except for being a bit crowded, was cleaner than even the busiest Zukui Avenue in the capital. Chen Qingju felt his worldview today was being repeatedly turned upside down, restructured, and then crushed to pieces. Is this still the mortal world? He muttered to himself. Li Qingzhao said nothing, but in her heart, waves even more turbulent than Chen Qingju's surged. This kind of public participation inspection, this almost obsessive standard of hygiene, and this militarized management model were absolutely not something an ordinary county magistrate could achieve. Behind all of this, there was surely a complete and mature system. The detailed concepts and theories she had never seen before were helping. Who on earth was that Lam Nguyen? Li Thonshu had developed an unprecedented curiosity and wariness towards this person. She decided that she had to find this person as soon as possible, to see with her own eyes what kind of extraordinary figure he really was. The carriage on the street, which was excessively clean, slowly rolled forward. Tran Kan Chi pulled back a corner of the carriage curtain, his eyes wide with astonishment, and his mouth could not close. Your Highness, look over there. He lowered his voice, pointing at an inspector who was talking to someone at the street corner. That man, I just met him outside the city. A person who can carry 200 caddies of grain now is managing where people relieve themselves, and that other person's repairing the roof over there. Just now he ate 6 meat pies in one go. 6 of them. And now he is still working as if he has endless strength. Tran Kan Chi felt like he was about to go crazy. As he saw it, these warriors of infinite strength and terrifying appetites, each of them is a precious soldier, a killing machine on the battlefield. Yet in Zakfang County, they are doing things like repairing houses, sweeping streets, and managing sanitation. This is too wasteful, simply a waste of heaven's bounty. Li Thonshu said nothing. Her gaze swept over the people on both sides of the street, and she noticed that everyone here, whether they were laborers at work, or inspectors on patrol, and even the children playing by the roadside, all had an expression on their faces that she had never seen anywhere else. Miraculously, It was not apathy, nor despair, but a sense of contentment and fervor. The way they looked at each other, and at this city, carried a near-religious reverence, as if they were not just building a county town, but constructing a holy city of their own. "Stop the carriage." Li Tanchu suddenly spoke up, and the carriage stopped next to a minor official distributing work tools. From the carriage window, Li Tanchu handed over a small silver ingot and asked in a gentle voice, "Excuse me, brother, we have just arrived here and wanted to ask about the magistrate. Lord Lin, who governs this county. Where is he currently?" The minor official took the silver, though he had originally intended to refuse. But seeing Li Qingzhao's cold eyes, he subconsciously accepted it. He scratched his head. His face showed a look of both pride and adoration. "Are you here to see our Lord Lin? So many people are looking for our Lord," he grinned, showing a row of white teeth. "But our Lord is elusive like a divine dragon. Not just anyone who wants to see him can do so. Is Lord Lin really that busy with work?" Li Qingzhao asked calmly. "Of course," the minor clerk said, puffing out his chest. When mentioning the Lord, he seemed to have countless things to say. "Our Lord is a living bodhisattva descended to earth. You haven't seen it, but over a month ago, people like us were starving to death. It was the Lord who saved our lives, giving us food. Can you smell that aroma? It's called a hamburger, a bun made of flour with a piece of meat this big sandwiched inside, and also that delicious black water called Coca-Cola. Drinking just one sip fills you with energy." As he spoke, while exaggerating and gesturing wildly to describe the size of the hamburger, talking to the point where he was almost drooling, Zhen Kanqi, standing nearby, frowned as he listened, thinking to himself, "Not this speech again." It seems his brainwashing ability is indeed top tier. Li Tanchu, however, heard something different. She asked, "Excuse me, brother, do you eat this kind of hamburger every day?" "Of course, 3 meals a day, eating our fill. As long as you work for the Lord, you can eat as much as you want." Tula said as if it were obvious. "Our Lord said that to work one must eat their fill. This is called... What is it called again? Ah, right, this is called distribution according to labor. Distribution according to labor." Li Tanchu silently noted down this term she had never heard before. She continued to probe further into this matter. And just like that, she opened up Tule's chatterbox. "Tired? Of course we're tired. We now have to work 12 watches a day. But the Lord is merciful. We get 1 day off every 10 days. Tran Kanqi almost died of anger upon hearing this. Staying 12 watches every day is working 10 days and having 1 day off. Is this what you call mercy? This is clearly working people to death. This estate of Nien is a life-exploiting demon king." But Tule's next words once again shattered Tran Kanqi's worldview. "At first, we even thought the Lord was too merciful, only letting us work 12 hours a day, and even giving us time off. Isn't this delaying the building of the walls for the Lord? What a vile plot, delaying us from building our homeland. We jointly petitioned, begging the Lord to let us work 24 hours a day and not rest even during the new year. But the Lord resolutely refused." Regret and confusion showed on Tule's face. The Lord asked, "What is the body? It is the capital of revolution. There must be a proper balance of relaxation and tension. This is called the way of nurturing troops. Our beloved Lord's realm is simply too high. Ordinary people like us really cannot grasp it." Tran Kanqi, Li Tanchu. The two in the carriage were completely silent. They felt like their brains weren't enough to process this. A group of people begging their master to let them work overtime, just to work year-round without a single day off. Yet that master actually refused them. His reason? The philosophy of maintaining his troops. Just what kind of people are they, anyway? Do you happen to know where his lordship is? We have some important business to discuss with him. Li Tanchu took a deep breath, trying to steer the conversation back on track. At this hour, the Lord is probably at the county magistrate's office. The clerk pointed towards the end of the road. "Just follow this road straight ahead. That is the county magistrate's office. Looking forward, I must remind you all of one thing. Although our Lord is benevolent, he absolutely despises sweet-talking, dishonest merchants. So, you must watch your words carefully. Thank you for the warning, brother." The carriage started moving again, heading toward the county magistrate's office. Tran Kanqi's expression became extremely serious. He spoke to Li Tanchu. "Your Highness, the situation is far more complicated than we thought. This Lam Nguyen wields both kindness and authority masterfully. His methods are incredibly brilliant. He is using food to control these refugees. Again, using a set of theories they've never heard of to brainwash them, making them willingly give everything to him. In my opinion, this person is definitely not a kind soul. His ambition is so great, I'm afraid it goes far beyond our imagination. Li Qijiao did not answer. Her heart was also in turmoil. This living bodhisattva, great demon king, benevolent, strict, and mysterious figure, in her heart, had become an enigma made of countless contradictions. The closer she got to him, the bigger this mystery became, making her feel even more uneasy and curious. Soon, they reached the end of the street. The so-called largest and grandest county office appeared before them. It was a dilapidated courtyard. It looked like it could collapse at any moment. The courtyard walls were made of dirt, with several large holes in them. The main gate had just been repaired, but the door panels were uneven in thickness, clearly pieced together temporarily. There wasn't even a plaque on the door, only scribbled in ink with 4 large characters, Shufang County Office, which was the entire county office. It looked even more rundown than the courtyards of the wealthy farmers they had passed on the way. Chendra Kangqi was stunned. Li Tanqiu was also stunned. Is this really the so-called elusive Lord Lum? Compared to what they had imagined, a scheming, far-sighted hero with soaring ambitions, the difference was simply too huge. Just as they were standing there stunned, a man dressed in coarse clothing, looking like an ordinary servant, yawned as he walked out of the county office. He looked to be in his early 20s. His features could be considered handsome, but his face showed he was still half asleep, and his hair was a bit messy. In his hand, he held a paper package, eating from it as he walked. Grease covered his entire mouth. That old man Vung is really something. I told him today is my day off, yet he woke me up early to teach, saying something like, the sanitation campaign must enter phase 2. It's so annoying. Oh well, the difference is way too massive. Just as they were in a tense standoff, a young man wearing coarse clothes, who looked just like an ordinary servant, stepped out of the county office, yawning. He looked to be in his early 20s, with delicate and handsome features, but had a sleepy look on his face, and his hair was a bit messy. He held a paper bag in his hand, stuffing food into his mouth as he walked, eating until his mouth was covered in grease. Old man Wong is really too much. I already told him today is my day off, yet he still woke me up early to go to class, mumbling something about the sanitation campaign entering phase 2. It's so annoying. The young man mumbled to himself as he ate. He looked up and happened to see the carriage parked in front of the gate, along with a pair of eyes as cold as moonlight staring at him from behind the window. The young man froze for a moment, forgetting to chew the hamburger in his mouth. Another guest has arrived, he mumbled. Then, in just 2 or 3 bites, he stuffed the rest of the hamburger into his mouth. He wiped his mouth with his greasy hand. He walked toward the carriage. Who are you looking for? Looking at the young man yawning as he walked in front of him, his mouth was shiny with grease. He spoke unclearly. Chen Qingji's eyebrows furrowed even tighter. He couldn't sense any aura of a master from this young man, nor did he see any of the dignity of an official. On the contrary, he looked exactly like a sleepy neighbor. We came to pay respects to Lord Lin, Chen Qingji said in a low voice. There was a hint of scrutiny in his tone. Hearing those words, the young man was taken aback. He froze on the spot. Then he pointed at his own nose. I am him, he said. Why are you looking for me? Chen Qingji felt as if a thunderbolt had exploded in his mind. Him? He was Lin Yuan, the ambitious borderland warlord who secretly raised 3,000 demonic death soldiers, slaying 800 fierce bandits, having towering ambition, and a deeply calculating mind. Could he really be this seemingly harmless and somewhat lazy guy right in front of me? How is this even possible? Li Qingzhao's face, hidden behind her veil, also stiffened. She had imagined countless scenarios of meeting me. Perhaps in a heavily guarded military tent, where he would sit high above, with eyes like a hawk. Or perhaps in a brightly lit study, holding a book of military strategy, mapping out plans. She once thought he might be a fierce-looking warlord, or a scheming scholar, but never in her wildest dreams did she expect that he would be a young man who looks completely and utterly ordinary. Moreover, what was he just muttering under his breath? Old man Wang, morning exercises and cleaning, it's so annoying. How could these be the words of a mastermind who plans and strategizes? For a moment, Li Qingzhao even wondered if he was just pretending. Yes, it must be a front. This guy is extremely scheming, surely putting on this lazy and harmless facade to deceive others. Thinking of this, Li Qingzhao's mind, on the contrary, calmed down. She stepped down from the carriage and bowed slightly to me. "I, Suyue, pay my respects to Lord Lin," she said in a gentle and soft voice. This was the identity she had established for herself beforehand. My eyes immediately lit up. Although her face was covered, and I couldn't see her full appearance, just her graceful figure, her water-clear eyes, and that pleasant voice were enough to make the heart of a former corporate slave like me, who could only admire beauties on screens in my past life, flutter. "No need for such courtesy, young lady. Please stand up," I said, a bit flustered, while thinking to myself, a high-quality ancient beauty who is also a wealthy young lady. This transmigration was totally worth it. Chen Qingji looked at me, who had the infatuated look of a love-struck pig, with even more contempt in his eyes. "Keep pretending. Go ahead and keep pretending. How could a hero who can command 3,000 death warriors lose his composure like this over a woman? Your acting is too fake." "Lord Lin," Chen Qingji took a step forward, standing between Li Qingzhao and me, his tall, sturdy build standing like a wall. "Our young mistress is the second young mistress of the Su family in Jiangnam. We have come here this time to discuss a business deal with you, Lord Lin." "A business deal?" I froze. My gaze shifted from Li Qingzhao to Chen Qingzhu, scanning this middle-aged man, and my heart skipped a beat. His temples bulged, and his eyes were sharp as knives. One look was enough to tell he was a martial artist, not someone to be trifled with. I immediately grew alert. "What kind of business?" I asked while taking a small step back, closer to the county office gates. If anything went wrong, I could escape immediately. Our Su family heard rumors that Shufang County is currently undergoing reconstruction with 100 tasks waiting to be done, requiring a large amount of supplies. Coincidentally, our Su family deals in silk, tea, and porcelain. We would like to open a shop in Shufang County. "I wonder what your thoughts are, Lord Lin?" Li Qingzhao spoke softly. This was the plan she and Zhang Zhuzheng had agreed upon. Entering Shufang as merchants was both logical and reasonable, and it would also give them a chance to observe the economic situation and my true intentions. Hearing this, my eyes lit up. Opening a shop? That's a great thing! What does Shufang County lack the most right now? Apart from population, it's supplies. Although I have a system, it only provides hamburgers, cola, and pepper chicken. It can't even conjure up salt. The more than 3,000 people under my command are still wearing rags and using stones and wooden sticks. I was just racking my brain on how to exchange the gold and silver obtained from Black Wind's stronghold for practical goods, and now someone has delivered themselves right to my door? Welcome! Of course you are welcome! I immediately changed my attitude, smiling warmly. Shufang County welcomes anyone who is willing to come and invest. Opening a business brand is not a problem. I approve it for you. In my mind, I was calculating, this is great! In the future, we can exchange gold for fabrics, ironware, and table salt with them, and we can even collect taxes. This is the first investment attraction project since I became the district magistrate. I must make sure it goes perfectly. Li Qingzhao looked at my money-grubbing appearance, and she became even more certain in her heart that this guy was indeed putting on a disguise. He agreed so easily. On the surface, he's greedy for small benefits, but in reality, he wants to release a big fish like us into his pond. He wants to use me to establish a connection with the trade route in Jiangnan. His ambitions definitely do not stop at a tiny Shofang district. Then I am truly extremely grateful to Magistrate Lin. Li Qingzhao bowed again. It's just that we are newcomers here, unfamiliar with the place, and don't even have a place to stay yet. I wonder if your lordship could facilitate and arrange a place for us to stay? This was her second probe. She wanted to see where I would arrange for them to stay, whether it would be a closely monitored inn, or if I had other intentions. Upon hearing this, I felt awkward. Shufang District is currently undergoing basic construction everywhere, with houses being demolished and rebuilt constantly. Where could we find a decent place to rest? I couldn't just let them share shelters with the refugees. I thought for a moment, slapped my forehead, and realized, there it is! This is easy. I pointed behind the magistrate's office. Although my magistrate's office is a bit run down, the backyard still has a few empty side rooms that are quite clean. If you don't mind, please stay here for now. That way, if anything comes up, you can find me at any time. My thoughts were simple. This is my first group of investors. My wealth deities, so I must serve them well. Staying inside the magistrate's office is both safe and convenient, and it shows my sincerity. However, these words took on a completely different meaning to Li Qingzhao and Chen Qingji. Staying inside the magistrate's office under the same roof as the district magistrate Chen Qingji's first reaction was danger. This is a Hongmen banquet. He wants to control Her Highness, the princess, right under his nose. But Li Qingzhao's thoughts went even deeper. Looking at my sincere eyes, she sneered in her heart. What a clever move to lure the enemy into a trap. Does he want to place me in the closest spot to observe and probe my background day and night? Or does he have absolute confidence in himself, believing that even if I live right next to him, I won't spot any flaws? Or has he already seen through my identity and is showing off his power to intimidate me? In an instant, countless hypotheses flashed through Li Qingzhao's mind. She realized she completely could not see through the young man before her. Every single one of his seemingly normal gestures seemed to hide countless layers of hidden meanings behind it. Confronting him was like playing chess with a grandmaster. You could never know where his next move would land. What's wrong? Do you find this place of mine too run down? Seeing that they hadn't spoken for a while, I scratched my head. It was indeed a bit shabby. How about I tell Old Man Wang to clean up a decent residential house for you instead? We don't mind at all. Li Qingzhao immediately snapped out of it and said hurriedly, Being taken in by your lordship is this humble girl's blessing. Then I shall trouble your lordship. She decided to turn his own trick against him. Since you want to keep me by your side, I will play along. Let's see just how many masks a great demon king like you has. All right then, follow me inside. With that, I turned around to lead the way, warmly welcoming them as we walked. Don't be polite, just make yourselves at home. By the way, have you had breakfast yet? Would you like to try a hamburger? Let me tell you, this is delicious. The meat patty is huge and thick. Looking at my overly enthusiastic hospitality, Chen Qingji gripped the hilt of the saber at his waist and whispered to Li Qingzhao, Your Highness, this person is too bizarre. Since you're here, just make yourself at home and stay. Li Qingzhao cut him off, her voice calm but her eyes sharper than ever. I want to personally expose his true face. I arranged for Li Qingzhao and Chen Qingji to stay in the back courtyard of the county office. It actually had a few vacant rooms, all built with blue bricks and tiles. Compared to the collapsing master bedroom I was staying in, these conditions were actually pretty good. You two can stay in these 2 rooms for now, I said, pointing to the 2 adjacent wing rooms. Though a bit simple, they were quite clean. The bedding is all brand new, retrieved from the spoils of war we gathered a few days ago. As I spoke, I calculated in my mind, these people are my financial backers and investors, so I must treat them properly. Once they settle in, I'll find Old Man Wang and have him select a few quick-witted servant girls to serve them. I also need to notify the kitchen to cook separate meals for them. Wait, that's not right. I don't even have a kitchen right now. Everyone eats hamburgers. Thinking of this, I felt a bit guilty. I couldn't make my guests eat hamburgers with me every single day. Although I think hamburgers are a delicacy, these noble ladies from Jiangnam definitely wouldn't be used to them. Well, Miss Sue, I rubbed my hands and smiled awkwardly. Our conditions here are limited, so the dining options might be a bit plain. We mostly only have a meat sandwich called a hamburger and a soft drink called cola. If you two aren't used to it, I can send someone into the city to see if they can buy some rice, flour, and fresh vegetables. I felt my attitude was extremely sincere, but to Li Qingzhao, this meant something entirely different. Hamburgers and cola, are these the divine foods that turn those ordinary people into death warriors of unmatched strength? He actually wants to casually give us this food. What on earth does he want? Alarm bells rang in Li Qingzhao's heart. She immediately thought of a few possibilities. First, there is something wrong with this food. Eating it long-term might allow him to manipulate their minds, turning them into fanatical death warriors like those outside. Is this his way of boiling a frog in warm water, slowly taking control of us? Second, he is testing us. He wants to see our reaction to this divine food. If we show greed or fear, our true identities will be exposed. Third, he is showing off. He is intentionally boasting of his power and displaying his endless supply of divine food, all to deter us and keep us from causing trouble. Whichever case it is, it proves that this Lin Yan is incredibly scheming and deep. Thank you for your kindness, Lord Lin. Li Qingzhao suppressed the surging emotions in her heart, offering a polite smile. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. We will eat whatever you eat, Lord. I am also very curious about the hamburger and beverage you mentioned. She decided to meet all changes by remaining unchanged. You want me to eat? Fine, I will eat. I want to see what kind of secret scheme is hidden in this divine food. Haha, wonderful! Miss Sue is indeed straightforward. Hearing this, I was overjoyed. What I feared most was picky guests, so this was a huge relief. Well, you two get settled, and I'll go fetch the food. With that, I dashed off like the wind. I had to quickly grab 2 freshly made hamburgers and 2 chilled bottles of cola from the system warehouse. Hosting guests for the first time, I had to bring out our finest specialties. Watching my receding back, Chen Qingji's face darkened completely. Your Highness, you absolutely must not, he said urgently. That food is of unknown origin. It must be poisoned. You are of noble birth. How could you risk testing it? It's fine. Li Qingzhao waved her hand and walked over to push open the room door. The room was indeed very clean, containing only a bed, a table, and 2 chairs. General Chen, think about it. With the martial arts of the 2 of us, if that food were poisoned, would we really not notice? She asked coldly. Chen Qingji was left speechless, but then said confidently, ordinary poisons naturally cannot escape my eyes, but I fear it might be some kind of odorless and colorless rare poison. If we don't eat it, what do you think Lin Yuan will suspect? Li Qingzhao retorted. Chen Qingji was speechless again. That's right, if they refused, it would be no different from openly stating their suspicion, and their plan to infiltrate Shofang County would completely fall through. Your Highness is wise, Chen Qingju bowed, his admiration for the princess growing even stronger. The more he wants us to do, the more we must comply, Li Qingzhao said, looking out the window in the direction I had just left. Only by doing so can we make him lower his guard and expose his weaknesses. Remember, from now on, we are southern merchants with no way back, and Lin Yuan is our only reliance. Our job is to do whatever it takes to win his trust. Your subordinate understands, Chen Qingji replied firmly. A moment later, I returned, carrying 2 neatly wrapped square hamburgers in my hands, with 2 chilled bottles of cola covered in condensation tucked under my arms, a radiant smile on my face. Here it is! Miss Tu, Big Brother Chen, try my secret recipe hamburgers, fresh out of the oven and still piping hot! I placed the food on the stone table in the middle of the yard, pushing it toward them as if presenting a treasure. Li Qingzhao looked at the paper wrappers and the bottles of black liquid in front of her, a myriad of mixed emotions in her heart. This was the divine item capable of changing the world's situation. This was the secret to turning 3,000 refugees into demon god death warriors. Although it looked as ordinary as any other food, she reached out her jade-like hand to take the paper wrap, feeling the warmth transmitting from her fingertips. Imitating me, she cautiously unwrapped the grease-proof paper, and the rich aroma of grilled meat and bread wafted straight into her nose. The bread was soft and fluffy, the beef patty was seared golden brown, the golden cheese melted, and a few slices of crispy green pickles. Just looking at it was enough to make one's mouth water. Chen Qingji also picked up a portion, his face extremely serious, as if he were evaluating a deadly weapon. He brought it close to his nose to sniff it, then carefully examined the beef patty, finding nothing unusual. Eat up! Don't stand on ceremony, I urged, pulling out another hamburger from my robe and taking a large bite. I'm telling you, this must be eaten hot to be delicious. Letting it get cold ruins the flavor. Li Qingzhao looked at my reckless eating manner, took a deep breath, and decided to remove her veil. I was chewing with a full mouth when I caught a glimpse of this from the corner of my eye. My entire body froze, and the hamburger got stuck in my throat, forgetting to swallow. What kind of face did I see? Delicate eyebrows like distant mountains, eyes as deep as autumn lakes, a jade-like nose and rosy lips, skin as white as snow. It was a pure and flawless beauty, breathtakingly beautiful. If the internet beauties of my past life were synthetic diamonds, then the Li Qingzhao in front of me was a perfect, uncarved piece of jade brought back from the peak of a snowy mountain. My heart seemed to skip a beat. No, skip several beats. Paying no mind to my dazed gaze, Li Qingzhao elegantly took a very small bite of the hamburger. The soft, saucy bun, rich beef, fragrant cheese, and sweet and sour sauce. Countless flavors she had never tasted before now blended together perfectly, exploding on the tip of her tongue. Her clear eyes widened slightly. Delicious was the only thought in her mind. It was even more delectable than the delicacies prepared by famous royal palace chefs. This was a pure, simple, yet irresistibly captivating flavor. Curiously, she twisted open the black bottled drink, making a soft fizzing sound as a wisp of white mist rose from the bottle's mouth. Imitating me, she took a small sip, and the sweet, icy cold, bubbling liquid rushed down her throat. A wondrous, stimulating sensation spread from her esophagus down to her stomach, causing her to let out a soft, graceful burp, and her cheeks instantly flushed red. She felt a wave of warmth course through her entire body, instantly dispelling her fatigue from the long journey and filling her with energy. Heavens, she was stunned. She finally understood why those refugees went crazy over this food. It was not only extremely delicious, but also instantly restored physical strength. This was definitely not food of the mortal realm. Chen Qingju also took a large bite, and a crack finally appeared on his face, which was usually as cold as a 10,000-year-old glacier. Having a military background, he was much more sensitive to the energy in the food than Li Qingzhao. He could clearly feel a surge of rich, pure heat flowing from his stomach into his limbs and entire body, nourishing his depleted vital energy and blood. The absorption rate was 10 times faster than the rarest spiritual medicines he had ever used. Unable to control himself, he devoured the hamburger in 3 or 4 bites, grabbed the bottle of cola, and gulped down half of it. Burp! A loud belch escaped the mouth of the Imperial Guard commander, completely ruining his image. The entire courtyard fell into silence. I stared blankly at the two of them, thinking to myself, this beauty is so gorgeous. Did that girl just burp? How can even a burp be so cute? And that cold-faced guy is like a reincarnated hungry ghost. Slow down, no one is fighting you for it. I had no idea that those 2 small combo meals had caused a tempest in the hearts of my 2 guests. Nor did I know that the way Li Qingzhao looked at me now had completely changed. No longer filled with mere probing and caution, but mixed with a deep, indelible fear. Who on earth was this person who so casually handed out such divine items? 3 people, 3 different trains of thought. I was simply happy, and watching a beautiful woman eat made my own food taste even better. I quickly finished my second hamburger, while Li Qingzhao and Chen Qingji went through the most contradictory meal of their lives, half indulging in the exploding deliciousness and enjoying the surging energy of the hamburger and cola, the other half frantically analyzing how terrifying they were. After eating, I let out a satisfied burp, looked at the scattered empty bottles and paper wrappers, and asked warmly, Miss Tu, Brother Chen, does it taste good? Is it to your liking? Should I make another portion? Oh no, there's no need. Thank you, Master Lamb, we are full. Li Qingzhao waved her hands flusteredly. She felt her entire body bursting with energy, even feeling like running a few laps outside. She didn't dare eat more, fearing she might lose control and go into a frenzy like those refugees. Chen Qingju also shook his head. He was secretly channeling his inner energy, trying to refine that massive wave of energy. The more he refined it, the more shocked he became. The energy flow was mild and pure, without a trace of toxicity, truly a divine medicine tailor-made for martial artists. If the Imperial Guards in the capital were fed this every day, he didn't dare think further about how terrifying that army would become. Alright then, you two must be tired from the long journey, so rest well. I'm going to patrol my territory. Feel free to walk around the yard, but don't go outside. There is ongoing construction out there, and it's very messy. If you bump into anyone, it might cause trouble. I meant it as a well-meaning reminder, but to Li Qingzhao, it carried a different meaning. Not letting us go outside. Is he afraid we'll discover some secret? For instance, the secret training camp of those 3,000 death soldiers? She sneered inwardly, but on the outside, she complied meekly. Yes, we understand. Thank you for your concern, Master. As soon as I was out of sight, Chen Qingju lowered his voice, his expression extremely tense. Your Highness, that food is too terrifying. I guarantee that if even an ordinary soldier eats this straight for a month, his physical strength will equal that of the most elite centurion. 1 month, Li Qingzhao murmured. The people of this Shufang County have already been eating for a month and a half. No wonder they easily wiped out the Black Wind Stockade. General Chen, do you think the Shadow Guard's secret report was exaggerated? She asked. Chen Qingju fell silent, recalling the phrase Demon God Death Warriors. At this moment, it seemed it was not an exaggeration at all. Your Highness, we must immediately investigate the origin of this food. Chen Qingji's eyes turned icy. If we can obtain the formula, it would be a great blessing for Great Qian. Otherwise, Lin Yan will be a thorn in the side of Great Qian, a threat far exceeding even the northern barbarians. I know as well, Li Qingzhao's gaze also hardened. Therefore, we must not startle the snake. As long as the truth is not clear, he remains our benefactor. She walked over to the window, watching the busy flow of laborers and the lively spirit in the courtyard. An idea suddenly flashed in her mind. General Chen, what do you think? If I use the excuse of being a merchant and want to hire some labor for loading, would he agree? Chen Qingji's eyes lit up. Your Highness means to take this opportunity to get close to his soldiers. Yes, Li Qingzhao nodded. Only by extracting information from them can we know how Lin Yan has trained them. In the afternoon, Li Qingzhao found me standing in a daze in front of the giant planning map placed in the front yard. This was a map I drew myself, covered with strange symbols marking the residential zone, industrial zone, craft workshops, commercial zone, military zone, and training grounds. Lord Lin, Li Qingzhao called out softly. Is that you, Miss Su? I was startled and hurriedly rolled up the map, not wanting anyone to see my chicken scratch handwriting. Are you planning the county seat, my lord? Li Qingzhao asked as if casually. Just doodling around, I laughed it off. With so many people, there must be a plan, otherwise it would be very messy. In Li Qingzhao's heart, a wave of shock arose. Urban planning, a mere county magistrate actually understood urban planning, clearly zoning each area in advance. With this level of vision, even the Minister of Works might not match him. Just how many secrets is this Lin Yan hiding? My lord is truly far-sighted. This humble girl deeply admires you. Li Qingzhao sincerely praised, then changed the subject. My lord, this humble girl has a request. Please speak, Miss Su. I thumped my chest in guarantee. We brought quite a lot of goods, but we are short-handed. I wonder if my lord could arrange for a few workers to help unload the goods? We will pay them handsomely. Hearing this, I laughed. For such a small matter, why talk about money? I have thousands of soldiers, each strong as an ox. Let me call some nimble ones to help you, completely free of charge. In my heart, I was smug. I had to please my financial backer, after all. What did a few helpers matter? I had to seize the chance to show off, making it easier to do business in the future. How can that be? Li Qingzhao hesitated. It's decided then. I spun around and called out loudly, Wang Gansheng, old Wang, get out here quickly! Wang Gansheng rushed out immediately. Yes, my lord, did you call for me? Old Wang, these two are distinguished guests, Miss Su and Mr. Chen, who are here to invest in our county. They are short of helpers. Pick a few strong and nimble brothers to work for Miss Su. Hearing that they were distinguished guests, Wang Gansheng solemnly bowed to Li Qingzhao and Chen Qingji. However, he was inwardly bewildered. His master suddenly had two strangers by his side, and their demeanor was by no means that of ordinary merchants. Could they be talents that his master had recruited in secret? Not daring to say much, he quickly replied, Yes, I will arrange it right away. Very quickly, Wang Gansheng returned, leading 5 of the burliest and most elite men. My lord, these 5 brothers are the most elite and obedient soldiers of the trap-breaking camp. Assigning them to protect and assist Miss Su will bring the utmost peace of mind, Wang Gansheng introduced proudly. Hearing the words trap-breaking camp, Li Qingzhao and Chen Qi were startled. So that demonic army was called the trap-breaking camp. She looked at the 5 men. Even standing still, they exuded a chilling aura. She shuddered, imagining their devastating power on the battlefield. Yet I casually dispatched them as laborers. Was I truly being casual, or was I using this to show off and assert dominance over her? Li Qingzhao's mind was in a whirl. Alright, from now on, you will take orders from Miss Su. Remember to protect her well, understood? I instructed loudly. Yes, sir! The 5 men roared in unison. I startled, swearing under my breath, Damn it, lower your voices, you scared the life out of me! All of my expressions were caught by Li Qingzhao. She curtsied slightly in gratitude, Thank you, my lord, but inwardly sneered at my double-layered play, using the excuse of helping to plant 5 of his most terrifying death warriors to follow and monitor me. This Lin Yuan is truly a deeply scheming man. In the following days, Li Qingzhao used the excuse of sorting goods to frequently strike up conversations with the 5 trap-breaking camp soldiers. She discovered that they were fanatically loyal to me. Whatever she asked, they would always start with, Our Lord Prudren. Brothers, training so hard every day, don't you feel tired? To sacrifice for our Lord, what does fatigue matter? We only regret that we lack the talent to shoulder the grand cause.